Very well. So this first match is about to begin. On the left side here, we have Blaster, Shadowhunter. Well, I'm going to try and use the English names here. We have Artillerist, Shadowhunter, and Scrapper. Be bad, it's going to be Infighter. On the right side, we have Berserker, Holy Knight, and Sorceress. So we have a different balanced teams here. We'll see how they play out. So we have a very surprisingly rushdown team here with both Scrapper and Shadowhunter. A little bit of a defensive line with Vexor taking place as their, shield defensive character. Meanwhile, we have a team with a support here with one SW, a master rank player here from Russia playing Holy Knight, as well as a Berserker here and a Sorceress to push the enemy team. You can see the blue team has actually started quite strong there with Lumiel using quite a lot of skills and actually catches Nekor, but is caught himself by the Artillerist. Takes the full combo, but one SW manages to peel just in time with the Ruffian's Word, just denying all that damage that is being done. Lumgel is just haven't actually taken all that much damage at all. Meanwhile, Nekor got bursted very heavily by one SW, who's now changing focus and going to Vexor, using that Ruffian's Word once again, but gets caught by Meatbeat, which is without cooldowns to convert. The Berserker from the blue team, no roll. Seems like he's looking to chase something, but gets caught by Vexor just at the side. The stun, unfortunately, does not come out in time from Vexor to actually connect on the Berserker. This was a very strong opening for the blue team. However, the red team is starting to make their comeback. Nekor tries to go for a knockdown with the Dragon's Ascent, but gets stomped. That hard CC, the Mountain Crash from the Berserker, is just enough. And an Awakening from the Berserker actually manages to kill Nekor and lands into Vexor too. Meatbeat himself is also Awakening, trying to force, a 1v1 there at the top, but now he's left alone in a 1v3 situation. Goes straight into the Transform, using that all immunity to avoid the Inferno from the Sorceress to knock him up, and regroups with his team. Red team is starting to respawn. It is 2-0 in favor of the blue team, but you have to keep in mind Lumgel is very low. Almost dies to Nekor, but the sweeping strike just isn't enough to take it. Lumgel will be finished off by Meatbeat though, just as he de-transforms. Unfortunately, he uses Enhance just in the middle of the stage, not connecting with anything. Nekor gets a solid stun, changing target to 1SW, getting that almost double knockdown. You have to keep in mind he has no roll, but one of a great knock-up himself, preventing Nekor from chasing him down. The Berserker will fall to a combination of Vexor and Nekor. Lumgel gets hit by the Gatling, but it just isn't enough for the blast to convert. The beam doing a lot of damage to one SW, and he actually gets interrupted out of his Shield of Faith by Nekor's Fist of Destruction. We see Lumigel going for that Awakening herself. Gets quite a bit of damage there on Meatbeat, but without any roll, he is going to take a lot of damage. You have to keep in mind though that the Guardian Angel from the Holy Knight is also doing a lot of work, and the combo from the Artillerist just completely destroys one SW. If you get caught by that combo, you are going to die if you do not get peeled off. It is incredibly strong. The match now is 3-2 in favor of the red team. What started as a blue team favored game may be going to the red team. We have to keep in mind that it's still quite close. Lumgel is very low. Almost dying, but they actually managed... Nekor actually gets finished off by Grab Volder and the Berserker there. Meanwhile, one just getting comboed there at the side by Meatbeat. They managed to finish Meatbeat, though, as a counter attack here, and Vexor just backing up, even though he does have the shield. Doesn't want to take any risk, regrouping with his team. It is now 4-3 in favor of the blue team, but Lumigel is quite low. We see an Awakening come out from Vexor. He gets the stun. One is going to take a lot of damage here, if not die outright, just barely living. Going into peel for his Berserker buddy there against Meatbeat, but unfortunately it is not enough. The Berserker finds himself alone, just barely manages to avoid those attacks, and what a level, he just does not get caught, but it seems that I stand corrected. The commentator's curse, as Vexor actually gets quite a bit of damage on Aldrin while he tried to regroup his team. Meatbeat and Nekor both going very hard there for the Aldrin, but grab Aldrin, but they're not managing to finish him off. 4-5 though, we can see the Shield of Faith giving, a double Inferno connects. And the Sword Storm from the Berserker, but he gets interrupted by Meatbeat just as he goes into his Tempest Lash. Meanwhile, 1SW gets scored by the Blaster once again. You see that 31k crit, and then straight into the Fist of Destruction. This is a huge moment for the red team. They managed to use all of their hardest hitting burst skills on the blue team, and they have set such a strong lead here. It was a very back and forth game, but it seems like that may have been the moment. You have to keep in mind that they only have one Awakening left now. The blue team only has one Awakening, which is one SW's. Nekor is using his own Awakening. He gets a double catch, which lands on one and lands on, what was it? Lumigel, I believe. Nekor respawning here, coming back with a 9-5. It's a very strong lead for the red team. Have to keep in mind, again, there it is, the Holy Knight Awakening that I was talking about. They actually do manage to finish Vex or grab Aldrin going again for the Temple Slash, but the Roar manages, maybe using his Roar to avoid it. Gets a triple knockdown with his Demonic Spikes. Neko trying to convert here, getting a bit of damage off. It seems like this really is going to be a difficult game. It does not seem like the blue team can make it back. Even though Meepete is relatively low in HP, you can see the damage that the Blaster is pumping out. What kills left and right here from both the blue and the red team. With a 12-7 score for the red team, this game is going to go in their favor. You can just see how much damage Blaster actually managed to pump out during this game. If you get caught, once again, you are dead. You have to make sure to protect your support in times like these because he is the only person. Infighter, Destroyer, and the Holy Knight on the right side, whereas we have Warlord, Soulmaster, and Blade on the left side. I can actually see that some bets have been made there, some channel point bets to figure out who's going to be winning or losing these matches. And let's begin. So how these two teams are going to be opening up. We see Frostov already going to his first stage. Hype is what it's going to be called in NAEU, which is where Soulmaster gets most of their damage buff and cooldown reduction buff storms. Meanwhile, Kokolade going straight into Endure Pain and using that ability as a destroyer to just rush in. Meanwhile, Quacky tries to go on boot and actually fakes it out. Kokolade actually gets a catch on Frostov. Sorry, on Hoximore, and actually gets quite a bit of damage. Buden with the Nalastia, denying all of Quacky's damage. Meanwhile, Hoximore getting a lot of damage himself on Kokolade. A double stun by Kokolade. Meanwhile, Buden just trying to keep the blue team there occupied. We see very early awakening coming up from the Destroyer, but he does not land. This means he'll probably only get one use of form. A nice catch from Buden there, but he just about converts with help from the Soulmaster, but Pabiga Framer with the Rukin's Word just in time to interrupt that burst. It seems that with a 10k there coming off from Kokolade on Frostov there, which has now gone into stage 3. This is actually going to be very difficult when it comes to avoiding that Soulmaster, right? When they're in stage 3, any hit will be huge. And we see an early awakening from Buden as well, which just about lands on Kokolade, and a counter awakening coming out from Pabiga Framer to hopefully prevent Buden from getting too much out of that. And he does get caught just outside of his awakening. Frostov going with that inner key discharge, 44% damage reduction. And now Buden with his inner key discharge. This red team just refuses to die. And a nice awakening from Hoximore. Actually, I'm not sure if he actually landed that. Imaging's just out of range. Poke from Buden, but he doesn't seem to have any cooldowns to push. Meanwhile, Kokolade actually finished off Frostov. It is a 3v2, and it seems like Buden will be finished off by Quacky. Meanwhile, Pabiga Framer and Quacky chasing down Hoximore, and it's a clean 3-0 for the blue team. But right now, you have to keep in mind that they're all quite low. Pabiga Framer has actually managed to remain quite high HP, but both Kokolade and Quacky are low HP, and you have to keep in mind that as soon as one of them dies, they're going to be left in that 2v3 situation. Buden gets the stun on Kokolade, but that Endure Pain means that they're not actually going to be able to do much to him. Hoximore tries to stun, but the hard-to-see resistance comes in. It is 2v3. They're trying to push here while the blue team is trying to back off to regroup with their team. And Kokolade almost dies, but he's actually knocked out of range from Hoximore identity, sadly. Pabiga Framer trying to open up a little bit, make some space. Now Kokolade goes into his identity. You can see that gravity field from the Destroyer slows everything that is in it massively. Meanwhile, he is all immune. This seems like Buden gets a counter punish just as it expires. Frostov trying to do a little bit of 1v1 with Quacky here, or see a 2v2 going up in the top with Pabiga Framer and Kokolade. Pabiga Framer coming back to regroup with his team. We see an awakening from Frostov, but it does not land on anybody, sadly. They have managed to force a roll out of Kami, and as Kokolade is finally going to die, it is now their time to make another push. You see Quacky taking quite a bit of damage. Buden leaping, the leaping frog, the Super Mario here, and a great death sentence from Quacky, actually preventing Frostov's engage there, and a triple Fist of Destruction, definitely putting some AoE there to good use, and Frostov is going to die there to Quacky. Buden taking 14k damage from that Seismic Hammer from the Destroyer. It does seem like it's not too much damage, but you have to keep in mind that the Destroyer is using a lot of beads and an armor pod in that too. You can see that it's actually becoming a very dominant game here for the blue team as they are setting up a very good pace. But Frostov being left alone in this 1v3 situation, you can see how he just loses almost 60% of his health. It's quite absurd. what happens if you get left alone. And the the stun from Coco Latte landing in Frostov there, the very tip, but Frostov is not going to go down quietly as he takes so much of Quacky's health. It may be it now, as he is going to get almost finished by the death sentence, manages to roll just in time, trying to regroup his team. He misses the stun, and Quacky will finish him off with the advancing strike. Meanwhile, Buden getting hit by both Pepega Flamer and Coco Latte. Losing a lot of health despite being tanky. Goes to the peel, lands a very clean spear shot, but he gets caught by Quacky there in the back, unfortunately. Trying to peel. Oh, you can see 18k crit just from the buff from Pepega Flamer there. You can see how even just the act of activating a damage reduction buff from Holy Knight can do quite a lot of damage to the enemy team. It seems like Hoximore is going to go in here, actually gets and forces out a roll. Pepega Flamer, though, just denying the damage, using that Ruffian's Words very, very wisely. Buden just trying to live low with a little bit of HP, but with no roll left, it may be it for him, and never mind, as he manages to just about get up before Coco Latte gets his cooldowns off. And with the Nalasa coming out, it may be Coco Latte that will pay the price here, but I stand corrected as Quacky actually manages to finish Buden just before he can get his burst off. Hoximore trying to retreat for a little bit, but not, unfortunately, being able to do much, just trying to buy some time for Buden to come back so that they can actually start to push an advantage, but he will get caught by Pepega Flamer and finish off with that sort of justice. Frostov gets hit by the bug, even though he did roll and he should have had all immunity. He gets stunned midway through his roll and he gets recalled. This is going to be a very convincing game to the blue team here of a 9-3. Even with the double damage reduction, it was a little bit too difficult for them to go in this wall of a comp that did not allow the red team to ever set their pace. Do you level up fast in this game? Relatively fast. You can get to cap in, well, about, I would say, a day if you really know Life Hit. So leveling is not particularly difficult, but gearing up is a whole different process. What server will I be going? I personally will be going the Kadan server unless they make an official announcement for regional servers. But currently Kadan will be the server that I'll be going, which will be the European one. Let's begin. Again, so we know what these teams will be. It is a Blade, Sorceress, Mirror. The difference here is going to be the Battlemaster and the Gunslinger. We'll see how these players go against each other. You can see Tyron's actually going very low. He's going to be trying to abuse the FOV to get a flank here on the blue team. Actually see a quick Cloak of Blades there from Blue Blade, trying to use that hot stiffness immunity to not get caught. Meanwhile, Adwaniel, though, gets caught by Thyra and takes quite a bit of damage from that shotgun. As Jojo just about catches Melee Vroom with his reverse gravity, but gets interrupted by Adwaniel. Meanwhile, Vertuslow actually doing quite a bit of damage on Blue Blade. And how much health has Adwaniel lost there? He keeps getting these reverse gravities, but just does not have the ability to convert. Jojo getting quite a bit of damage there on Melee Vroom. We see an early awaken there from Blue Blade, going very hard, getting that 26k double identity slash on the red team. Jojo and Vertuslow getting caught here. We can see the Wind God from Melee Vroom actually putting in quite a bit of work. Only 8k on Vertuslow. Seems like he's running the distance on that Crescent Kick, which means that he does not have enough 20. Double stun from Blue Blade into the awakening. Not sorry, awakening, the identity, but the awakening from the Blade, the Battlemaster actually putting in quite a bit of work, sealing off that red team spawn. We also see a double awakening from both Tharion and Jojo, but Adwaniel is not going to stand still as he counter awakens. We have seen so many early awakenings here. The only person with their awakening left is Veritas. Tharion actually manages to just about get his burst out with a shotgun before Adwaniel tries to interrupt. And this is actually going very heavily for the red team, as we can see Adwaniel struggling to get that Scourge to be cast. Tyrion's trying to pursue Blue Blade here, but with that Cloak of Blades, there isn't much that he can do, as he's completely immune to all staggers and paralysis. Trying to lock Tyrion in the fire there, but as he's relatively low HP, he's not going to be losing all that much. His amount of health that you lose from fire is dependent on what you currently have. Meanwhile, Melee Vroom putting in a lot of work, 2v1ing at the top, using that Wind God to get quite a lot of time for his team. Tyrion's still living, but for how long is the question. You can see that the blue team is definitely pushing the advantage now, whereas the red team is all very low. Unfortunately, Blue Blade misses his stun, and he's going to get punished quite heavily for it. But he does get a double catch into a double kill, using that death sentence to just use a double knockdown into the Hurricane, which will give the blue team the opportunity that they need to push. With Jojo being a sorceress left alone, are they going to be able to push? It seems not, as he does a very good job at live loading and preventing the blue team from chasing him down. We'll get caught by Melee Vroom. And we can see we have a 1v1 there at the side as Melee Room is just trying to chase G-Jojo. But Blue Blade is coming in here to back him up. Meanwhile, Tharion now is scoring his own 1v2. Advanio gets the reverse gravity into the Scourge, doing so much damage as well. Connects Inferno as well, this low lift from that reverse gravity. We can see 2 different 2v1s happening here at different sides of the map. And a double Scourge from G-Jojo, actually putting in so much work as he manages to finish Blue Blade and almost finishes Melee Room. But it seems like he actually does it with a basic attack too. Advanio now is the Sork being left alone. The blue team won. This is a very back and forth game. 6-5 in favor of the blue team, but both G-Jojo and Advanio are very low. They both popping in that elemental reactor, just trying to buy a little bit of space. It is now 2v2 as both the Sorks end up dying. You can see, oh, Blue Blade tries to get an interrupt with the identity, but it seems like he's scored by Tharion just before. He is getting so many double identities this game, definitely putting in a lot of work with the blue team. Melee Room with that Wind God, but gets scored by the Sorcerers and will be heavily punished, taking 20k from that Scourge. He wants revenge though, but it seems like he may not get it as he gets scored by the reverse gravity. Jojo manages to just about heal himself off from Blue Blade after he got stunned. Tharion just being a bit of a harasser here, trying to find spaces into the blue Sorcerer here, into Advanio, and getting quite a bit of damage, but the roll means he's going to be able to avoid that shotgun damage. Tharion gets a recatch, and it seems that both Tharion and G-Jojo having an incredibly good coordinated combo in Advanio, doing so much damage. Blade, like the red Blade Divertus, tries to get the Awakening, but unfortunately he does not seem to get too much of a convert off of that. You have to keep in mind though that although he dies here, all members of the blue team are quite low. And with only 39 seconds on the clock, with the burst buff coming into play, you can see how much damage Sharon is doing there to the Blade, and it will be enough. The red team just getting a very clean sweep there into the blue team. Bertus going and actually gets a catch in Melee Room. He's being a very solid front line for his team, not allowing them to go in. You see, even if he is scored, that is not that much of an issue. Oh, G-Jojo gets crit by 26k from the Blitz Rush. It seems like the blue team have to push right now, though. And with both Tharion there just moving very using that gunslinger agility rather to move very aptly, and it seems like Melee Room tried to get a catch but unfortunately overcommitted, and with only 2 seconds left, it seems like it will not be enough for them to finish this match. It will go a 10-9 to the red team, one of the closest games that we had so far. We saw as well the power of the mirror, which is the different playstyles as well from each member, whereas, you know, Blue Blade here was very much working as an aggressor for the blue team. This gives us DirectX 11, unfortunately. DirectX 11 will not be available at launch, which is quite sad that we will not be having that. But it is something they're going to be bringing in hopefully relatively soon after release, and the optimization that we will get with that will be immense. So do keep an eye out for that DirectX 11 release. Let's begin. So here we have a very, I would say, defensive team. We have a Destroyer, a Holy Knight, and a Gunslinger, right, which can play that from range. So they can play this game very defensive, very passively. Meanwhile, we have a Soul Master, which is known for their incredibly aggressive burst, but playing on a timer. Whereas we also have, you know, a Gunslinger Mirror Underwater. We see a double hook from Maruz, and so much damage coming out of that, actually. It seems like, you know, with the Endure Pain from the Destroyer, trying to resist that damage, as well as the Holy Knight, just adding in a little bit of damage reduction there. Mustradamus denied quite a bit of that hook. It seems that, you know, Maruz is not running Burst Cannon. He's running a blue build of Warlord. You see the little jump build, which just means that the damage takes a little bit longer to come out, but it's a lot easier to land. Box gets a nice stun on the Warlord. We see just the Gunslingers having a snipe out from range, but Benixo catches Eurysia. You can see the rubber band there, unfortunately. This is something that is going to happen on the Russian server, you know, if you are from North America or, you know, Southeast Asia or South America, etc. You're going to be having a lot of ping in the Russian servers. This is why it's a bit of a farewell event, as we'll be finally having a little bit of better ping in our home servers once they finally arrive. Mustradamus is going to die to Benixo, and we see an Awakening from Fox actually lands into Shakpo. That's a lot of damage coming out. And you have to keep in mind, remember, using that Destroyer Awakening means that he will have use of his identity, which is exactly what we see here. Trying to chase out Shakpo. He does have an Elastic, which means that he's not going to be taking that much damage. He does get caught by Mustradamus up at the top, and just about connects the Sword of Justice as the Elastic expires. Aru's trying to do his best to peel for his team, using that Guardian's Lightning, but barely misses it on Fox. And oh, it seems like Benixo gets a double catch and goes into the Awakening. It is not big enough, though, to land on both the Holy Knight and the enemy Gunslinger. We see Mustradamus go for his own Awakening there. He does not want to lose the momentum that his team has. And with both Fox and Eurizia being quite low, it is not a bad choice as they manage to get a double kill on Shakpu and Maruz. Benixo is left alone, but being a gunslinger with a lot of mobility means that he doesn't have to fear. And with this slower team, oh, he actually managed to get a catch. The double Frost Grenade, he actually swaps targets very cleverly there. Very intelligent decision of him, knowing that the Holy Knight was going to peel for the gunslinger. And that way, he actually manages to... He does take quite a bit of damage as he is counter-peeled by the gunslinger for ignoring her, but does manage to give his team the space that they need to kill Fox and to set themselves a bit of space. Great dodge there. Another catch into Eurizia. Is it enough to finish off, though? It will be, as Maruz will take it. Now, Mustradamus is the one that fights himself alone. He goes into the identity, bringing up that much bigger sword there from Holy Knight, which is going to give his skills a lot of damage increase and enhanced range. But Mustradamus is going to kill Benixo, and now it is Maruz and Shakpu that finds themselves in a 2v3 situation. The stun from the Destroy there from Fox just narrowly misses as Maruz got knocked up, and he just frontlining for his team as Shakpu goes into stage 3. Any hits now will convert into a lot of damage. This is a very tight game. 3-3 of the health favor being just slightly on the red team, but anything can happen. We see the Anarchy Discharge coming up from Shakpu, reducing damage taken, but so is a Ruffian's Word, getting a little of space and damage reduction. Benixo catching Eurizia once again, doing a lot of damage to Ghetto Shakpu, but it seems like they just can't finish him off. It is so difficult to do damage of a Holy Knight on the enemy team. It seems like Mustradamus does not get the Electroshock there, and with Maruz bringing out the Nalastia just in time, is going to save his team, using that damage reduction from Warlord to just completely deny all the damage taken. We're seeing these gunslingers constantly duel against each other. Eurizia now is the one that catches Benixo, and a great convert from Mustradamus, realizing that he got caught and landing a very solid Sword of Justice. Big damage there coming in with the Great Disaster, and it seems like the Holy Knight hard CC there is going to catch Maruz and finish him off. Meanwhile, Benixo is going to be finished off by Eurizia. This gunslinger mirror just does not stop. They always keep fighting each other. Meanwhile, Maruz coming in just in time to try and save Shakpu, who is quite low. You have to keep in mind that it's 5-3 in favor of the red team, but you can see just how much damage Shakpu managed to do there. And Mustradamus being relatively low, this is still anybody's game. Shakpu is going to be finished off by the Ruffians, but Mustradamus blows his roll. 18k crits on Fox. No roll now. It seems like you have to keep in mind that I believe Shakpu and Maruz both have access to their Awakening. So even though the system in favor of the red team, under this 60-second mark, the damage increase is massive. And Eurizia just trying to desperately run away and stay alive from this blue team rushdown. Seems like Maruz will not be able to catch him, but it does not matter as Benixo pushes Mustradamus. It is now 5-6, favor of the red team. They just need to get one kill. Eurizia is quite low. It seems like Benixo catches Fox, but we are not seeing any Awakenings come out. If we do not see an Awakening come out within these next 10 seconds, then maybe it's to the red team, as they will not be able to make it back. We see the Awakening come in, 25k crit into the Destroyer, and the Buddha Palm from Shakpu is enough to finish off Eurizia. What team? It seems like the blue team actually wins this game, manages to clutch out the kill at the final 5 seconds. Even though that Awakening did not manage to kill the Destroyer, it does not matter, as the combination was more than enough for them to take it back. Now, you may be asking, they both had the same kill score. If we do pull out the next 6 people, and they are exactly as they show up in the queue, I will probably unlock the queue and just pull people. I'll reshuffle the queue after unlocking and pull people before relocking the queue. Was there a fresh prediction? I'm not sure if the previous prediction has been closed. I have not been doing any predictions. I'll let the mods take care of that. For now, let's begin. So we have a very melee-based team here. Or should I say, both of them are relatively melee, but with Shadowhunter being a sort of a hybrid class, definitely taking a bit of a range slot in the team. We've seen how they engage. See an immediate Endure Pain from Kogolade going in straight to Buden. He's trying to his best appeal, but you can see that the blue team is just being pulled straight into the base. And an early awakening from Kogolade actually lands in Cancer Burst. And an early awakening from Buden as well. And an early awakening from Meepy. So many different awakenings. And you can see Buden's actually running the Burst Cannon build here, unlike the build that he was running previously together with the other Warlord. TTV Meepy just gets caught in his base all the way at the end, but he does manage to run away while Buden is being a little bit of a defensive wall. Cancer Burst and Antifactrix having a bit of a Blade 1v1 while the rest of the team just duke out that 2v2. Good stun on Gogolade, but that Endure Pain is going to prevent him from getting anything out of it. Great engage from Neko. Buden using the Spear Shot's mobility to get out, but it seems like he cannot save Meepete from that massive burst. He gets caught against the wall and without any escapes. It seems like the first kill is going to go to the red team, just about missing that stun Cancer Burst, but Buden in the back there with an Elastic to prevent them from taking any damage. While that Elastic is up, we see an Awakening coming out from Interfactrix, but it seems like he almost actually just gets the Identity at the very, very end, which means that he actually gets damage despite an Elastic being there as it just about expired. Seems like the second kill is going to go to red team again, but Interfactrix is very low. It gets a catch from Meepy, a double catch there with the headhunting, or should I say blitz strike as it will be called in NAU. Nice finish by Buden with the spear shot there. Meanwhile, Buden gets Neko and both Cancer Burst and Meepete bursting ladder incredibly hard. He loses almost 30% of his HP as Interfactrix is trying to come back. These 3v2 situations are very dangerous. Cancer Burst finds a knock-up and a stun in Interfactrix, but no cooldowns to convert. It seems like Buden himself is killed by Kokolade, and with the Endure Pain, there's not much that the blue team can do but run away here. It seems like Kokolade actually staying back, not making much use of that Endure Pain, possibly without cooldowns. Interfactrix, that's a good stand into the Hurricane Rush there, into Interfactrix. Neko almost manages to get away, but gets hooked into the Wall of Chains, and then the burst from TTV Meepete. What started as a very red dominant game is now going in favor of the blue team. Knockdown extension by Buden into the bash, and so much damage coming out even from these filler CC skills. And TTV Meepete may be finished off here. Does Neko has anything? It seems like he does not Sweeping Strike in time, and Dina Lash is gonna save TTV Meepete. Kokolade is in his form, and Neko is just desperately trying to chase Meepete, trying to finish what he started. But while he's doing that, it seems like Interfactrix is going to die. Nekorin does manage to finish off TTV Meepete, but not without taking quite a bit of, should I say, wasting quite a few cooldowns there, trying to avoid Buden. Cancer Burst does use his Awakening, but it doesn't actually get that much off, considering that Kokolade was in the Endure Pain, a double stun from Kokolade, but he doesn't really have that many cooldowns. I stand corrected as he actually lands a perfect swing in Buden, doing a solid 23k there with both the hammer and the wave. Neko really going in, trying to frontline for his team, although Buden and Meepete are just trying to buy enough time for Cancer Burst return. Kokolade going in very aggressively here, trying to get something. Jumps in, and Buden and Meepete both caught. All the while, though, Cancer Burst doing a lot of damage there on Nekoran and just preventing Interfactrix from getting that much off. Definitely doing good on the Chuvi wand. Kokolade does get the Endure Pain and the perfect swing, but the Warlord damage reduction is just going to prevent all of that damage from coming out. Meanwhile, Buden does not care about his HP, going to the fire and keeping Interfactrix there, using that 10% HP take per second to make sure he's taking damage, even if he doesn't have any cooldowns to burst. A little 14k coming out there from a Kokolade. I do believe he's running the armor pod on that skill, which is, it doesn't mean that you do less damage, but it means that you're perfectly safe while doing it. And, well, it seems like he definitely needs to be safe as he just gets finished off. Buden, though, oh, just getting the triple crit and then another crit from the spear shot. You can see just Warlord may be a tank class, but if you let that class free cast, you are going to feel it, especially under that 60 seconds mark. Kokolade gets a stun into the perfect swing, and that is going to be enough to finish off Meepete together with Interfactrix. Interfactrix missing the stun, but now Cancer Burst is left in a 1v3 situation, just desperately trying to stay alive in the 7-7 equal score moment. You have to keep in mind that Interfactrix is quite low, but they're getting a lot of damage into Cancer Burst. It is not enough to finish him off, though we see an Awakening coming out from Nekoran, but it does not seem like he lands on anybody. It's such a chaotic game with only 15 seconds left. It is really going to come down to who gets the kill, as we cannot see who has the score or not. Cancer Burst almost dies to Nekoran, but Buden with the PO, he just gets double caught, though, by Interfactrix, but Interfactrix himself is finished off by Buden. It seems like this is going to go to 8-8, even though TTV Meepete goes into his Demon form. He actually gets the stun, and he unfortunately does not manage to get the Blood Orb before the timer goes out. This win, though, is going to be going to Meepete's team. It is going to be going to the blue team. Another 8-8 game, very, very tight. Once again, you see these battle points right here. This is what determines the score, right? Who wins at the end. And you can see that the 18-19 seems to have overtaken the red ones just barely. So it's going to be a very interesting ranged focused match. We'll be seeing how these people sling spells and drones and bullets at each other, and how exactly it is that that's going to be working out. Brazilian Jeans abuser. Alright, let's have a look. Chocolate, can you make normal Gamba? This is not a free cheap play game, matches cost sanity. Alright, let's begin. So, now I have to point out that Scouter, for example, is a very good class that can deal with Sorceress very aptly because of his drone. At the same time, though, Gunslinger is a class that can deal with Scouter very well. So, we're definitely seeing a little bit of counters here. We say good, the focus shot, they open up from Benixo. He actually lands a perfect shot into Frosthope, but he does manage to space away. Eurizia gets caught by Benixo, and is going to take quite a bit of damage, but the Anarchy discharge from the Soul Match is going to prevent a lot of damage being done there. Musadramas tries to land a Sword of Justice, but will miss and get punished quite heavily for it. Meanwhile, Frosthope being a little bit too aggressive, trying to frontline for his team, but takes so much damage there. Eurizia now trying to be the front line, and with Benixo caught up there at the top. Meanwhile, Frosthope actually finds an opportunity to engage into Mustradamus, and does quite a bit of damage himself there. We see a catch from the Sorceress and Mustradamus, but nothing to convert, as Benixo manages to get a very clean interrupt. Eurizia very low, but managing to just about stay alive, but she is going to get caught by the Spiral Flame there at the end. Meanwhile, Mustradamus all very, very low. Frosthope going for an early awakening. He does not get anything there, but with stage 3, any touch will be death. Manages to just about stay alive and avoids Benixo's catch there. Adwenio is going to get hit by that perfect shot as well as a focus shot, but only 5k damage taken due to that Anarchy discharge. Definitely putting in a lot of work. Adwenio gets caught by Benixo at the same time that Frosthope gets finished off. In the 2v1 burst situation, 3v1 there, Adwenio is just desperately trying to stay away. Tries to get the hard CC, but it's not enough. We see an awakening now. Eurizia finding himself alone at the top, but Adwenio just doing his best to survive, and he does just in time for Frosthope to come into PO. Yanjay, meanwhile, though, getting caught by Eurizia and bursts really hard. While Mustradamus does try on PO, it is not fast enough as he actually walks right into Eurizia's burst and pays for it with his life. Eurizia is caught alone, though, in this 2v1 situation, but manages to just about avoid Benixo's catch there. It is 3-1 in favor of the blue team, but both Benixo and Yanjay are quite low. And remember, Eurizia is a gunslinger. She does have the mobility to stay alive. Seems like Adwenio is getting quite a bit of burst here on Mustradamus, while Eurizia herself actually almost killing Yanjay. This is exactly what the red team needed to start making a comeback. Benixo, though, getting quite a bit of damage there on Frosthope. Eurizia going in, and the Scouter form is down. You have to keep in mind, while he's in Scouter form, Yanjay cannot be staggered. He cannot be hit by paralysis. It has to be a knock-up or a hard CC. And you can see that Adwenio was actually trying to frontline for his team very, very desperately. Quite separate there from his buddy Frosthope. The Frosthope is trying to engage there. We can see an awakening coming out from the Holy Knight, doing 32k damage to Adwenio. That is incredibly important. And that awakening is providing his team with shields that will allow them to maintain the pressure. Just as the red team was starting to make their comeback, it seemed like this awakening was what they needed for the blue team to actually hold their momentum. Adwenio, though, very low health. The slight heal there, just about giving Yanjay a little bit more HP, but it is not enough. And Adwenio, live-lording, manages to get the Scourge just before he's finished off by Benixo's perfect shot. 3-5 now. Red team slowly but surely starting to lose this momentum with... Oh my god, the burst Eurizia just took there from the Scouter, and the focus shot from Benixo is going to crit for 22k. You have to keep in mind, you usually cannot crit until the under 60 seconds mark unless you take the crit stats, but because of Spiral Tracker, one of Gunslinger's skill, she can debuff enemies to actually have a 10% chance of taking critical damage from her and the team. Adwenio getting bursted incredibly hard there. Frosthope just didn't have the time or the opportunity to PO as he had to hold his own against Yanjay. You can see how important momentum is to this game. It's quite nice, great disaster there by Eurizia, but the Holy Knight damage reduction is just putting in so much work. Meanwhile, Benixo getting his own great disaster there on Adwenio. Frosthope and Adwenio regrouping, meanwhile Eurizia actually working as a frontline for this team. Tries a perfect shot, but cancels it just before, not wasting the cooldown. He knows he can't land against Yanjay. Gets the freeze into quite a bit of damage there. He will get counter-caught by Benixo, though, but his team is right behind him, ready to peel him off. We are under the 60-second mark now, which means that we're going to be seeing quite a lot of damage be coming out, right? A 20% damage increase for all members here, as well as a 25% crit chance. But Nixo actually spaces out of that focus shot at the perfect time to get an animation cancel. But he is going to get peeled off by Dwenio and going to be taking a lot of damage. All the while Frostolf doing a lot of damage to Nostradamus there. It seems like a red team is starting to make a comeback, but they have to get a double kill without dying themselves. The Awakening comes out from Scouter, but it doesn't actually land on anybody. The 25k crit, perfect shot from Benixo will, though, as Eraser does get finished off. Although Dwenio does get the knockdown there on Nostradamus, it is not enough, as the Awakening from Benixo will take that. At 11-6, this is pretty much a done deal for the blue team. It seems like the game was going very back and forth, but that Holding Out Awakening at the end, the 32k damage that found itself into Dwenio right when all members of the blue team were low HP, that was the time to regain momentum, and that Holding Out Awakening really denied it completely. You can see just how important it is to make these decisions at the split second to save your team and be able to maintain the snowball situation that you are building up to. You can see just how much damage Benixo got off. That's absurd. Definitely using the space that his team gave him to... That should have been the blue team. Right, so as I said, Bard Artillerist, a very, very strong comp. Very powerful comp. Once that shield is up, there isn't that much you can do to stop them. But we do have a Berserker Bard, which is also a relatively solid comp with Striker, which is a class that works very nicely with double melee. So we're going to be seeing how this actually works out. And how it is that they're going to be opening. Will the blue team be able to outzone and kite the red team and make use of that Bard Blaster or Bard Artillerist comp to survive? Or will the red team be able to push them faster and further than they can resist? A good opening there from Isani. Getting a little bit of a slow on the Bard. You can see that Striker's bad, trying to go in, but he just gets stunned by the enemy Bard. Meanwhile, the Blaster trying to do a little bit of damage there on the red team Bard, but he will not be able to do it. Meanwhile, the Berserker going in ham, doing quite a bit of damage with that Tempest Lash, but it seems like it's not much damage taken, I should say, for either one of the teams because of, well, the Bard damage reduction. The Striker actually putting in a little bit of work there. The Bard coming in with the Rhapsody of Light to deny damage and getting a very solid Soundholic there. Golden Muse trying to get pursued there by Asandi, right? Trying to avoid getting pursued by Asandi. Takes quite a bit of damage from this Demonic, who will not leave him alone. Meanwhile, you can see Striker's Bat is focusing very heavily on that Blaster. A grab Aldrin just going in. Does not care. A double Gatling almost, but it seems like Golden Muse does manage to avoid it. And using the... oh, an Awakening from Striker is bad. Doing a double catch there. Triple even. Killing off Mr. Gunman there, as well as getting both Rose and a lot of damage out of Isandi and Azrael. But he will be finished off though with Grab Aldrin now finding himself alone and trying to do his best here to regroup with his team using that Windblade. But the slow from the Bard, really difficult to deal with. I stand correct. That's he actually managed to get so much damage there in Isandi with the Red Dust. The Bard Awakening from the blue team is coming out. It is Shuan in their favor, and it seems like it is time for them to make use of this. We can see a Gatling there from the Blaster. He gets the stun, but is it long enough? It will not be. Striker's Bat does get hit by the Atomic Bomb, but he will not be hit by the full combo, which is exactly what he wants in this point, right? He doesn't want to get 100-0 by that combo. In a double catch of Crescent and the finish by Grab Aldrin, definitely putting quite a bit of work. Oh, Blaster is in form. You can see that they try to stun him there, but the hard 6C immunity, or resistance rather, prevented the Berserker from doing that. A very good Awakening there from Sandy to protect Mr. Gunman. And we see how Striker's Bat here is definitely out for blood. Trying to finish off his Andy, who still seems to have a very big hard on there for Golden Muse. Meanwhile, Grab Aldrin just really frontlining for his team. The cooldowns may be long, but it seems like it does not matter. And we see the Awakening coming out here from Golden Muse. Now for the red team to establish their dominance. Great stun there on Azrael by Grab Aldrin. And they're definitely going to be pushing this very heavily. Big Dicky Gunman is very low, but the spikes from Isandi are going to stop him from getting that damage off. While the Enhance is going to finish off Striker's Bat too. It is 5-4, but oh my god, Sandy does not care about being in a 1v2 situation. He is going in, and in he will go because of that demonic form. Gets a good interrupt there on the Striker with his R. Looking for an opportunity to go in, but just gets knocked down. Striker's bad, managing to regroup with his team, not getting knocked down, using that sound wave vibration from the Bard to stay protected. Bit of a sound hole coming in there, but the damage reduction from the blue team Bard means that not much damage is going to be done. Very chaotic game here. Golden Muse again being chased by Sandy. Big Big Gunman there. Mr. Gunman finds a full combo into Striker's Bat. You can see that the Berserker just could not peel him off because of that shield. We see an Awakening there, low HP, but it seems to pay off as he lands it on Azrael. No roll, but also no cooldowns to convert. All moves of the red team are quite low, even though they do have kill advantage, so anything can happen here. All that the blue team needs is one catch, and they can really push this. Sandy just trying to zone out the red team. A double Phoenix dive into the Tiger Kick. Damage is going to be denied by the Bud's Rhapsody of Light, but so is the damage by Golden Muse. Doesn't matter though, as the damage from Blaster is just so strong. They're actually going to get a triple kill here, which is monumental because of that score system that I was talking about, right? Triple kills give a lot of score, so if they do end up going 7-7, they're definitely going to be struggling on score. Grab Aldrin actually tries to push there on the Blaster, but just about gets hit by the beam. Overcommits just slightly. The heart stiffness, the paralysis that the beam inflicts, is definitely something that he was feeling there. You see the Awakening come out from the 24k crit from the Blaster, and the Awakening as well, just creating a very good protection zone. 17k from the Berserker, but it is not enough to finish him off. Does not matter though, as the Maelstrom will take it. Azrael just trying to go up, escape from the red team, but he is alone there in a 1v3, using Marsh to get away. Striker's Bat is desperately chasing him, does get the catch, but gets counter-peeled by the blue team. Keep in mind, it is 8-7. The red team does have this in their favor. They just have to not die. If they can avoid dying, they can win, but it seems like they're still going in so hard, and Sandy gets a kill, and then Azrael is going to get a kill on Striker's Bat with the Soundholic. Oh no, and now Sandy gets his own kill and Grab Aldrin, and that's going to go for a Chew kill lead to the blue team. We saw their situation. The red team could have just about won if they had retreated, perhaps trying to, survive there at the last few seconds, considering that they had that, one kill lead, but perhaps overcommitting a little bit too much, and they will pay the price by losing this match. An infighter player, and as we all know, infighter players are, the peak of moral dignity and beauty and skill and wealth and everything, obviously. So there's gonna be a difficult game here. Yeah, poor Lakish. Poor Lakish. I feel so sorry for Lakish. He's quiet. Maybe he ended up dying. Ended up being the last in the queue. Alright, so let's see how it's gonna go. A double melee Sork, so double melee range versus a melee ranged support team. So definitely the more balanced team here in the blue. But we do have some very strong players on the red team as well. So we'll see how this goes. Both of them going up top, trying to get engaged. Quacky going in really aggressively. But just the same can be said to Veritas and Abel both. Veritas gets caught, but the damage reduction from the Holy Knight's definitely going to put in quite a bit of work. Quacky gets caught by Abel, uses that roll, but is not going to stay silent as so much burst going into Abel. Fabrica Framer tries to interrupt there the burst, try to save him at least with the Rupian Sword, but it's not enough as a Hurricane, Scourge, and Death Sentence do a lot of damage to Bell. Fabrica Framer and Veritas now both trying to front line. Say 1v1 there at the bottom as Mr. Redblade is doing a lot of damage to Bell. Will it be enough to finish though? It seems he does have to use his Hurricane to achieve that. Veritas though and Quacky, both the bursting in sync. You can see that the amount of sync the red team has is actually quite solid here. And Fabrica Framer trying to do his best to stay alive, while the blue team is just respawning here. Actually did a good job of frontlining. Abel gets a nice cat into Jojo. Can he burst? Yes, he can. The focus shot will also connect into Jojo. Veritas low, trying to get pushed by Quacky. Oh, the stun from Veritas barely misses. Blue team finally regroups. Redblade trying to do something here, but seems like he actually doesn't manage to find anything. Has to back off. Quacky though is frontlining relatively on a double blitz rush into the Moonlight Sonic. Fabrica Framer may finally have to die here. He gets the damage reduction before he goes though, which is exactly what he needed. Abel gets frozen, but it seems like Jojo doesn't have the cooldowns to actually force something out. Great catch by Abel. Can he burst though? Just about lands a single hit of the Great Disaster, and he will end up dying. Veritas low, using that super armor there to frontline a little bit for his team. Fabrica Framer coming back, gets a knock-up on Quacky, but he does not get the Sword of Justice, unfortunately, just about missing it. Didn't even get the follow-up. Veritas trying to peel a little bit with that Blitz Rush and gets just about caught by the Sorceress, but a double perfect shot. The Sorceress, though, actually gets the full Awakening out without dying, which is quite impressive there. He did do that very low. Jojo is going to die now, though. Finally, a death to Sorceress, a double catch from Veritas. Mostly not much to convert, but Bell does get the catch, and it seems like Quacky will pay with his life. Red Blade here also about to die. We'll get finished off by Pepka Frame of 4-3. G Jojo is alone though, so they want to push this. Oh, the 18k actually connects despite Sorceress's quick roll. 2v3, they may be looking to push something here. Veritas is so low though, so any touch, as we see there from Quacky, is going to be enough to finish him off. Quacky actually catches a bell as he walks into the Fist of Destruction, the final hit, not realizing that the paralysis there would actually interrupt him. And oh my god, so much damage being done. You can see now it is a red team that is pushing the 2v3 situation. A bell trying to get away, but uses the, actually surprisingly manages to space through the freeze there. Doesn't get Hearty CC, but as we see an Awakening coming in from Red Blade, Epic Framer taking quite a bit of damage. He does get the Hearty CC into the 22k crit, Sword of Justice. Red Blade almost losing 50% of HP, but so is Papiga going to lose 50% of his HP, as all it takes is a single catch. You can see the level of coordination that the red team has here when it comes to actually landing these bursts. Quacky getting a nice Fist of Destruction. Epic Framer just having difficulty staying alive here. Oh, I stand corrected as he manages to get the shield just in time there with the knockup. Quacky, though, Veritas actually gets a nice stun at the same time that Pepka Framer dies. Can they finish off Quacky? Seems like he's trying to go into peel for a bell, but it's not fast enough. He is going to get frozen, and alone with the team of 3, it seems like he is not going to be able to survive. Pepka comes in just in time to Ruffians, but a little bit risky here, being alone. He's actually pushing quite heavily, especially as Abel managed to get a kill into Quacky. Both Jojo and Red Blade are relatively low, but Red Blade just showing Papiga who's boss here, not letting him get that finish. Meanwhile, Abel's actually putting in quite a bit of work. Just managed to finish Jojo off. Veritas is coming right back. He does have all his cooldowns, so he's looking to go in with the Axel. No catch though, regrouping of his team, trying to play it patient. They have to make something happen now though. We see the Awaken there from the Holy Knight. It's a 48k crit into Jojo. Veritas does not manage to get the Rising Whirlwind in the Sorceress in time. And while Quacky is getting quite a bit of damage on Pepka Framer, there's not enough to kill because of that Holy Knight Awakening. Oh, but it does not matter as the Scourge from the Sorceress will be stunned from Red Blade. And just the little damage here, little damage there, 24k there with the Blitz Rush. Veritas double core together with a bell from the Inferno with a 5-10 hit, 11-5 rather, well, 11-6 now to the red team. It is a little bit too late for the blue team to make it back, sadly. You can see that this is just a case of how important team coordination is in this game. Even if you are all individually playing very well and winning your 1v1s and getting good engages, it doesn't matter because all it takes is a single catch from a coordinated team who'd get bursted 100-0 very, very quickly. Let's see how much damage Jojo managed to get away there. Perhaps a double melee frontline actually putting in quite a bit of work. Specifically for this event, so nothing's actually going to be showing up. But thank you very much for the support. I very much appreciate it. Are there going to be PvP events for EU and A or just Russia? This is a farewell event for Russia. This is the final event that we're going to be having for Russia. All future events will be in EU and NA. That's how we're going to be doing the future events, right? So we actually have a PvP league that's going to be coming up. That's going to be done by Sage, the archive. So we actually have like a full-blown PvP league for people with teams and everything. So definitely we're going to be having lots and lots of events for NAEU. Keep an eye out. For now, though, this is a bit of a farewell event for the Russian server, as everybody will likely be moving. So let's see how this goes. Sarum, Buden, and Mish versus Shakpu, Aberdeen, Bestiary, and Intervectrix. Mish opening up with the Electric Nova actually lands an Intervectrix already and a snipe. No crit. Shakpu tries to go into Tharum, but actually gets hit by the Awakening. A very early Awakening there while he tries to pursue. Aberdeen, Bestiary has no roll. Buden is trying to get a knockdown here on him, but that 20k from the summon, he does not want to get hit. Tharum actually just gets destroyed while he gets left alone by Intervectrix and Shakpu. You can see that stage 3 Soul Master just putting out a lot of damage. Mish gets hit, but actually not taking all that much damage because of the Alasia from the Warlord. Tharon gets his own catch, Aberdeen Bestiary, and a lot of damage being done. Will get peeled off by Intervectrix. 15k, almost dying, but oh, he actually gets finished off by the Shreddy, this little sprite here that just auto-aims and fires a few abilities, and that'll actually be enough to finish Tharon off. First go is going to go to the blue team, but really only Buden has like at mid HP here. Mish actually has lost has lost practically no health whatsoever. Aberdeen Bestiary gets knocked down. He has no row. He has nothing here. He does have the Anarchy Discharge from the Soul Master, so he's not going to be taking too much damage, but it seems like the red team is just a little bit too split to actually be able to convert here. Tyron gets hit by the blade quite heavily. The Pauru there, the little dog, does manage to land a hit on Buden, but using that wall identity to stay up. Antifactrix gets caught. You can see it in the last again, going up to save Tyron so he doesn't take too much damage. He rolls anyways. It seems like they want to kill Aberdeen. But Antifactrix actually just walks into the great disaster there by Tyron, and it seems like he's going to get finished off without any roll. Antifactrix did have the identity to do a lot of damage there. And with a stage 3 SM, Buden maybe falling shortly afterwards. We see Mish with the charging shot. It does not land, unfortunately. Goes into stealth though. Gets just about clipped by the key palm. Tyron does finish off Antifactrix though, and they want to push this advantage. A 2v3, and Tyron does almost lands the perfect shot on Aberdeen, but he is now back to his base. I don't think Aberdeen has died even once this round. Definitely being a bit of a live load. It is Choo Choo. The score is very even. Buden is very low, but he goes for the Awakening within the last. He definitely wants to push his advantage, and this is a perfect time to use the Awakening too, as once he dies, this team will be left in a 2v3 situation. Tyron trying to finish off Shakfu, but Antifactrix manages the PO. The Electronova from Mish is not going to reach. And oh my god, the identity from Antifactrix is just about enough to land Tharion. Again, Mish just barely missing that Claymore there. It seems like he's trying to do his best to PO, and his heart's in the right place, but the hitboxes are just quite not there. Tharion respawning. Buden trying to push relatively heavy here. Aberdeen still alive and gets a catch on Mish with the Wing Spirit. Tharion is trying to chase him down, but choosing not to overcommit, especially as Antifactrix actually catches him there with the stun. So much damaging coming out from that Moonlight Sonic. Aberdeen going just for the first tier summon, trying to stay alive, but he will have to die at some point. And the super armor from Tharion, the push immunity, they're helping him taking down Shakfu there. Perfect shot is going to miss. It's 4-4. The health advantage is in the blue team, but they have the space. So you can see that massive snipe from Mish on Antifactrix, and great peel there. Shakfu rolls. Unfortunately, he does roll towards the wall, trying to get an engage, but Shakfu does not have any identity. And Tharion trying to get a little bit of damage on Antifactrix. Buden just desperately trying to keep Aberdeen Bestiary from stopping Tharion's vibe here, I should say, as he's just wrecking havoc on Shakfu and Antifactrix both. But 15k, it seems like they are going to get their vengeance as Tharion loses almost 30% of his HP, misses the Frost Grenade, a little bit in the panic here, but does land a perfect shot at the perfect time as well. Shakfu takes a bit of damage, but so does Tharion, as Antifactrix will finish him off with the Hurricane Rush. The Claymore does land on Antifactrix, but Mish, being knocked down, could not convert there. Buden does get finished off by Shakfu. 6-4 in favor of the red team. It seems like the blue team, in favor of the blue team. It seems like the blue team is just like very ever so slightly building a bit of a lead. But with both Antifactrix and Shakfu being so low, all that they need to do is get a kill, which they do there. Buden on Antifactrix and then on Shakfu. We have seen a double kill from both Tharion and Bud, which means that if this actually goes to an even match, if they do have equal score, it is likely that the red team will win based on points. Antifactrix though frontlining a great engage there from the blue team, trying to push back Mish, but it seems like Shakfu lost quite a lot of HP himself. Goes into stage 3, and the Awakening from the summoner comes out. Kelsion, that big dude over there, if he lands a lightning bolt once, it is going to be it, as the summoner is going to have a lot of gauge. As we see there, a clear sweep with Buden, Mish, and Tharion all being finished off. While Antifactrix and Shakfu are under 20% HP, they only have 20 seconds to get a double kill. While it is likely that the red team will win if they manage to get this skill, they do have to kill 2 people with only 12 seconds left. Tharion actually loses so much HP trying to get the kill, misses the perfect shot. Shakfu is quite low, as is Antifactrix, but they are splitting up. Mish with the Awakening manages to finish off Shakfu, but Antifactrix still living, and with the finish off on Tharion there, this game is going to go to the blue team. 10-8. Very, very close. Although they do win by a 2-kill lead, you have to understand that the red team did have to take a lot of risks as they did have to push. And if they had actually managed to get the kill, it may have been that they could have won on score because of those triple kills. But the win is going to go very squarely to the blue team. You can see Aberdeen Bestiary. Ladies and gentlemen, begin to place a bet. So we do have Demonic, I believe, Scrapper, and Bard. So Scrapper and Bard can sync up very well because of the attack speed buff that Bard can provide. And Demonic is just a very solid... Demonic is just a very solid class in general when it comes to working with their team. Meanwhile, we're going to have a Blade and Holy Knight, which are, melee fiends and incredibly powerful classes in and of their own rights, with Ladder here on the War Dancer, also the second set legendary. So let's see how this plays out. At the end of the day, whoever has the best fashion will be winning. We see an early buff there from the bot, both Heavenly Performance and Indomitable Performance. Unfortunately, it does miss the stun, but manages to frontline quite well, using that stun wave vibration to prevent a Cancel Burst from going in. It seems like almost all of the red team has rolled, and with a triple spikes, this is exactly what TTV Meepy needs to get so much damage out. He actually, unfortunately, doesn't get too much damage, because it seems like they managed to just about get their rolls back after the Awakening connects, but Bard there, Azrael, using his own Awakening to not allow the red team to gain momentum. No cooldowns from Neko there to do too much damage on Cancel Burst, but he's coming on right up to finish off Moosterdamus. We see Moosterdamus now with his own Awakening actually lands directly in Azrael, and without any roll, he's going to be taking a lot of damage here. He gets the stun, but it's on a down target, so not much is going to be coming out of that. TTV Meepy just barely like trying to stay alive. I do think that he has Demon Form now. You can see Neko with a double catch there, using the Fist of Destruction to hit both Cancel Burst and Moosterdamus, who will die. And Cinnamon Latte getting quite a bit there with the gods, Wind God rather, one of the most interesting skills there for Battle Master. It seems like Meepy just about gets the enhance off. Cancel Burst though, doing quite a bit of damage on Neko, using that blade mobility and the wide super armors to prevent both the Bard and the blade from catching him. And Latte and Cancel Burst together finishing off the Bard. Meanwhile, TTV Meepy going on his own on their support, while Neko is kind of left alone, and it seems like he will not be able to survive that 2v1 situation. TTV Meepy tries to come back to peel, but is not fast enough. Regroups to the Bard. Almost gets the stun, but not quite. He transforms here. Just barely missing out on that Heart CC. The Bard gets hit by the Awakening, but manages to get the what is it? Rhapsody of Light just in time, which prevents both himself and PvP from taking much damage. Finishing off Cinnamon Latte and Cancel Burst, still not fully respawned. This is the offense that they need to take this game back, and they do indeed. A very strange Rhapsody of Light there from Azrael, but with a 2-kill lead, it may not matter. You have to keep in mind though that they are quite low, and this is a very snowbally game. All it takes is 1 kill, and things are going to be very, very bad. Cinnamon Latte does take a bit of damage, but the Shield of Faith from the Holy Knight just preventing him from actually losing much of his HP. You can see Neko trying to go into peel for TTV Meepy, gets a Fist of Destruction, and Meepy with a pixel HP still managing to put in a bit of work. Neko just trying to be a little bit preemptive there, using the Fist of Destruction, sorry, the Death Sentence to use that super armor so he doesn't get caught. But with you see, like as I was saying, right, this 3v2 situation, all you need to do is get 1 kill, and then you can force that 3v2 so heavily with both Azrael and Neko being finished off. Meepy now himself alone in a 1v3 has to wait for his team to return. My god, my voice is breaking. Meepy takes just a bit of fire damage there, all the while Neko actually getting chased by Cinnamon Latte and Cancel Burst. And Wolf, is the queue closed now? Yes, we're going to be running through the entirety of the queue, and then we'll open after that set of queue is done. Cinnamon Latte goes in with the Phoenix Dive. Unfortunately, does get punished quite heavily for that careless engage, and actually walks with the Wind God right into Neko's Death Sentence, and he will pay the price for it. Again, now it's 6-4, but in favor of the red team, with all members of the red team being relatively low. Latte almost dying, trying to go for the PO. Gets quite a good sync there with Cancel Burst, using that freeze and the identity to get a bit of damage off. And it seems like it's working out really well. The team sync here from the red team. Laddie's still not dead. I stand corrected as TTV Meepy will finally finish him off despite the shield from the Holy Knight. Moosterdamus gets scored without roll, but it seems like both the Demonic and the Bot has used off their cooldowns. There's still no roll, but a bit of damage coming out there as Neko actually manages to finish off Cancel Burst and finishes off Moosterdamus there to get a TTV Meepy. There's now 7-6 in favor of the blue team. This is definitely a match that will go to timer as we see how back and forth the red and the blue team has been here. A Blood Orb from Meepy doesn't land, I don't think. And Cinnamon Latte, oh my god, almost being able to finish off Meepy. But it doesn't matter as Cancel Burst actually finishes off Azrael, which is just about respawning, trying to save Neko, gets the stun, but not before Neko loses over 40% of his HP. With it being 7-7, the blue team not having HP advantage, well 8-7 now, it's going to be very, very difficult. Meepy, again, with just a pix of HP. If he dies, it may be over. Azrael using the super armor from that Rhapsody of Light to stay alive, gets engaged on by Latte. We see an Awakening from Neko, it does land, but the lack of crit means that he will not be able to take that kill. They do need to get a double kill. Damas is very low. They actually do get the double kill with both Damas and Cinnamon Latte being finished off. They may actually be able to get a triple kill here on... Oh my god, Cancer Burst finally dies, and this actually goes a 10-9 at the final tick of the clock to the blue team. As I said, this was definitely a match that was going to go to time of how back and forth both of these teams had been playing. And it seems like both Cancer Burst and Meatpede being like the big damage carries here with Nekor and Latte, they're the fighter front lines trying to get these opportunities. And it seems like the blue team will just about pull out ahead with a perfect triple kill at the very end. There are many classes that I enjoy. I play a lot of Sorceress, I play a lot of Scrapper. I've played a lot of Shadowhunter. The class that I would probably consider my main, or the ones that I'm trying to decide, would probably either be Sorceress or Scrapper, with Berserker a close behind. If female Berserker is very interesting, then maybe that will be the one, but we'll see. I play a variety of classes though, so I don't just play one. So let's begin this game. While this happens, actually, I will just add a quick Nightbolt Manager, so one of my mods can help me moderate a little bit and add a few commands. Let's see. And then I'll be right into commentating. Just give me 1 second, guys. Perfect. Okay, so let's see how this match is actually opening up. Benixo is being very aggressive here, going straight into the blue team, and Frosthof as well, following off of his advance. Meanwhile, Grav Aldrin gets so much damage out there on the Sandy. Thick HKO with the shield just in time to prevent the hardest hitting part of that burst. Frosthof going in on Thick HK at the top, but now they're regrouping. They definitely had a very good offensive there and took a good 20% chunk of his Sandy's life. Great engage by Benixo. That's going to convert into a perfect shot. 20k damage there on Thick HK. Again, you can see how they're playing this very wisely, right? They're all going in together, being very aggressive, getting a bit of damage, then backing off and regrouping. But now they're beginning to separate. Isandy, though, gets caught by Frosthof, but he doesn't have the cooldowns to convert in time. Just as Fingerbolts is coming off. That stage 3, though, on the Soul Master is going to be very significant, as it gives him so much damage. A double Sword of Justice by Thick HK, both on Benixo and Frosthof. The Berserker is trying to frontline very well here, but it's Sandy putting in quite a bit of work, getting all these knockdowns, being a defensive wall here from range, using that Demonic Spikes and using the Demon Clone to prevent the red team from really going in. Now that they are kind of figuring out... Oh, a double catch by Sandy into the Demon Clone, and Deep Thrust Impact enhanced. There's so much damage coming out. And you can see, like, all it takes is a single double catch, and the game is not in favor of the blue team. But a lot of damage from Benixo there, that single Last Supper. Yang J popping in that shield on the Sandy actually managed to immune quite a bit of the perfect shot damage. And he coming just back up. Oh, actually goes straight into the Spiral Flame, but doesn't get knocked down using that Wake Up immunity. Frosthof. Oh, just about getting peeled off by Thick HK and gets caught in the corner quite alone. Benixo interrupting Thick HK. Meanwhile, Yang having a field day over Sandy and having a field day peeling for Sandy, but fortunately it's not enough as Grav Alderan is actually going to finish him off. Oh, a great rocket, kamikaze drones there from Yang, landing in both Benixo and Frosthof. He actually does manage to finish off Benixo. May be able to finish off Frosthof, never mind, as he will be, have his life taken there by Grand Al Alderan. Thick HK gets a little kill there with the Hand of Heaven. Yang just coming back off of base. They want to push his advantage, right? It's 3v2. Oh, he actually gets the catch of the Rocket Raid into the stun, and it seems like he spaced out of his laser gun with just the freeze from the drone just before he could actually get that to connect, and that canceled the animation, which means that he didn't get the damage off. Doesn't get the particle wave cannon there. Oh, it seems like Benixo gets a nice catch there on Yang with the perfect shot, but the damage reduction from the Holy Knight, you can see once again that Ruffian's Wood just preventing Yang from taking much damage. You see an Awakening coming from Frosthof, and his Sandy actually walks into it right during stage 3 too. He's going to be taking a lot of damage from that. Thicky HK as well, finishing off Grav Aldrin. It may not matter that his Sandy took quite a bit of damage, as his team is right behind him and pushing this very, very aggressively. Benixo using the focus shot, just trying to zone out a little bit, waiting for Grav Aldrin to retreat so that they can push this advantage. Alright, good knockdown there from Yang, preventing Frosthof from going in, but you can see just the range on Soul Master. Meanwhile, Grav Aldrin actually was doing pretty well there with the Tempest Lash. Yang going into Scouter form. This is quite big, as during Scouter form, you cannot be hit by hit stun or paralysis. Only pushes and hard CC will get you. And you can see how he's putting in a lot of work there, supporting his team, getting these catches, getting these combos. This is really difficult to go in on, especially in a team that has a Gunslinger, for example, which is a class that doesn't really have that many knockups, not that many pushes. Oh, they get a nice catch in the Sandy of the beam, and that's going to be enough to kill. Although Thick HK did try to peel there with the Rupin's Wood, it was not enough. While he's trying to get some damage on Grav Aldrin, it seems like Yanjay will follow. He did reposition to try and get a cheeky little Sword of Justice to hit all three, but it just wasn't enough. It's back to 4-4. The health advantage is within the blue team. We have to keep in mind that there are a lot of Awakenings. Only one Awakening has been used so far, and it's Frost Wolves, which means that anything can happen, especially in this explosive under 60-second period where Burst buff is active. Frost Wolf rolls, and it seems like he will be able to just barely live. Because, oh, it seems like I stand corrected. The Energy Discharge, which is giving him the damage reduction to survive, expires at just the right time. And Grav Aldrin a little bit of an overcommit there, going into the Rupin's Wood. And it will die for a see an Awakening there from Thick. He actually lands a 40k crit on Frost Wolf. It is 5-6, but you have to keep in mind, there's still a lot of damage that can come off from Grav Aldrin. Benixos did use his Awakening. Oh, 20k on Sword of Justice. And Grav Aldrin trying to escape. Never mind, he's just going to go in. He knows they need this kill. There is the Awakening. Yanjay's really low. And he actually manages to kill Insanity as well. A double kill by Grav Aldrin at 7-6. It seems that they have to kill Frostwolf right now, but although they just can't do it. They can't do it. Frostwolf is very much at the back, and it seems like that final moment there. Incredible Awakening from Grav Aldrin, holding until the final 10 seconds, but was enough to not only kill the Scouter, but you can see that the Scouter was actually going for his Awakening at that exact same time. If the Scouter had gotten his Awakening at that time, it would probably have been death to Grav Aldrin and Frostwolf, but he was just a little bit faster. You can see, never underestimate. He may be G2 right here, but he's definitely putting in a hell of a lot of work. And the win is going to go to the red team at the final moment. Gathered up together in the Lost Ark Discord, and that has been the central community hub for Lost Ark for the past 2 to 3 years. And now it is time to say farewell. It is time to move from the Russian server to our Western release .NA/EU servers, and I will be moving along with them. I am in the United Kingdom. I am in England, so I will be playing in EU, although I will definitely have some ults in NA East for sure. But let's see how this goes. So we have a Warlord, Striker, and Blaster, also known as Artillerist. Warlord, also known as Gunlance, right up for the west. We're going to be having Shadowhunter, Gunslinger, and Bard. We can see that Eurizia tried to get a little FOV advantage there by going at the bottom. The big Dicky Gunman was prepared for it. Maruz gets caught and doesn't roll, and he's going to get punished by a 12k burst there from the Gunslinger, as well as Scriptful. Doing quite a bit of work there. He just about misses the Enhance, though. You can see the Flamethrower there connecting Eurizia just about. Oh, and he gets a catch there on Critful, but the Frost Grenade is going to connect. Not like it matters though, as Maruz managed to get an Elastic just in time for the red team to be protected from the damage that Eurizia was pumping out. Although he does catch Casual Kill here, going for the snipe. Only 13k. It seems like he may only be running snipe at a tier 2, using the additional skill points for other skills. Possibly shotgun skills. Oh, Critful taking quite a bit of damage there from Maruz, the Warlord. Honestly, this game is very even. Bubble Fever and Big Dicky Gunman both very low. Maruz gets a catch, but no cooldowns to convert off of Eurizia. Trying to just keep them long enough for the Blaster combo to connect, but it seems like he does have roll. So Casual Kill will not be caught that easily. Bubble Fever gets the catch there of the Soundwave Vibration, and though Critful tried to get the Enhance, it was not in time. A double knockup by Maruz. Bubble Fever gets the stun just before the chains connects. I would have interrupted that stun had been just a split second earlier. Critful trying to do some damage at the Casual Kill, but you know that damage reduction buff from Warlord is very strong. You're not going to be able to get that much done. Eurizia getting caught by the Flamethrower there from the Blaster. Critful as well did take quite a bit, trying to get away. Knocked up by Maruz. And Casual Kill actually putting in quite a bit of work there, doing quite a bit on Eurizia. Bubble Fever tries to come in just in time as well to support there, that push. Big Dicky Gunman left alone is going to be finished off by the Soundholic. I stand corrected, actually, by the Demonic, which gets a double kill, which is very good for points. Choo-choo. Have to keep in mind, although it is Choo-choo, advantage is slightly towards the red team, as Critful is quite low in HP. But because they did get that double kill, they may be ahead in points if it does go down to it. Critful trying to get the beam, doesn't quite land though. Casual Kill going in really hard. We see Big Dicky Gunman just low there at the side. A 1v1 of Eurizia versus Big Dicky Gunman with Maruz and Casual Kill finishing off Critful. Bubble Fever coming back to support Eurizia. Reach in favor of the red team. Oh, Maruz is trying to chase Bubble Fever down. It seems like just the basic attacks and the Flamethrower is going to connect, doing quite a bit of damage. You have to keep in mind, most of the damage from Flamethrower comes after the fact, not during the cast. It's a very, very strong dot. Bubble Fever gets hooked at the very tip, but Critful with a very clutch PO there with the demonic spikes and gets the hit 2 on casual QO. Unfortunately, does knock him out of range of the Bard Soundholic, but still a bit of good damage from both. From Big Dicky Gunman doing so much damage to Rizia. 18k there. It seems like this 1v1 that's happening on the side did not go in Rizia's favor. Maruz pops in the Nalasia, but it does not reach Big Dicky Gunman. Not like it matters though, as Eurizia will get finished off by Casual Kyo though, before she actually gets a chance to punish him. Of a 4-2 here in favor of the red team, but the red team is getting quite low on health. We do see the Blaster Shield. We saw Eurizia use a Frost Grenade, and it did land, but unfortunately the hard CC resistance was there. A little bit of a slow startup though on Big Dicky Gunsman's combo, which means that Eurizia actually managed to get away from it. Casual Kill trying to find an engage and critful, but not only he ends up getting killed himself, he does buy a little bit of time for Maruz to get his burst cannon very cleanly in critful there. You can see again the Nalasta coming out, even though Critful is like using his enhance and using his demon clone. And we even see an awakening from Eurizia, but nothing much is coming out of that because the Nalasta is just going to be denying all of that damage. There's over like what 70% damage reduction plus a very fat shield on top of it as well. Boba Fever tries to get a knockdown there on Maruz, not enough, but Eurizia is backing him up and will be able to finish off Maruz maybe right after Big Dicky Gunman. Finally, does not get a double kill sadly, as it took a little bit too long. Critful now actually pushing Casual Kyo. You saw that, you know, the match was originally in favor of the red team, but the blue team now taking it back. It is going to be another one of those timer matches. See the Blaster, well, Artillerist Awakening come out. See the Gatling. Oh, and the Awakening from the Bard coming in just in time to deny that Blaster coming. You see, does get the stun. Bubble Fever is going to lose a lot of damage. We see an Awakening, though, coming in from Critful on Maruz, Big Dicky Gunman, and Casual Kyo. Oh, and Maruz tries to use Awakening, but being the second Awakening, he didn't actually manage to land that. It would have been so much damage. Critful getting a lot of damage himself on Maruz, but he just about gets interrupted by Maruz with the basic attack, and he's going to get finished off by the Blaster Flamethrower. Eurizia now alone. It's still 15 seconds. Can Eurizia survive? No, he cannot. If Eurizia could just have lived at that final moment, maybe they could have gotten a single kill, but now they need a double kill. They might be able to do it though. Critful trying to go in, but he just gets caught himself by the Blaster missile bombing, and that game is actually going to be going into the red team. Bubble Fever actually getting finished off there by Casual Kill at the last second. You see, like, during these times, as the losing team, you have to take risks, you have to overcommit if you want to be able to get that final kill, those final 2 kills. But, well, unfortunately, it was not quite enough. Let's see how that game will go to the red team. Very back and forth game. We're actually having a surprising number of very close games. I'm quite happy with it. There's a little bit more backline. Warlord is more frontline. Paladin has more ways of supporting damage reduction to his team, whereas Warlord is more of a PO class, I would say. NAU make more sense. They do, some, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit unfortunate a lot of them got changed when they were fine as they were, but some are pretty cool, some a little bit edgy, like Blade becoming Death Blade feels a little bit redundant, but I guess for Google search purposes and SEO that does make sense. So again, we're going to be seeing Danzai, so we're going to have a Shadow Hunter, Summoner, and Paladin versus a Sorceress, a Scrapper, and a Soulfist. Let's see how they're opening up. We see a shield coming up from the Holy Knight. He gets knocked down by Quacky, but not actually overcommitting, right? Doesn't want to convert. At the same time, LDC going in really hard, gets 50% damage into Danzai already. He is trying to go a little bit hard. He does get a knockdown LDC, but can Danzai get another knockdown? He may be able to. Lakish also loses 50% of his HP, and Useno there also just taking quite a beating from LDC too. It's being very difficult for this blue team to actually establish themselves. Perhaps my comp mistake here. I did put the players that are more common, you know, more higher ranked in rank Q, but it is a very difficult comp to stop this rush down from both the Soulfist and the Scrapper. 23k there finds his way into Danzai. Oh, but the 13k from the Paoru, Quacky not rolling. Finally decides to roll, tries to engage there on Danzai, but is going to get peeled off by the Summoner, and a lot of damage. Both the Sword of Justice and the Ali March is going to connect. The damage reduction though from LDC, the inner key discharge, is going to prevent him from taking a lot of damage. LDC just about kills Danzai, I think, with the dodge from the fire. But oh my god, it seems like everybody gets knocked up there. The Holy Knight, the Inferno, everybody got knocked up. The Pet just about interrupting LDC before he can get the this Windhowl Blast there, which should have been a massive stun. Quacky though getting a bit of damage there on the Seno. Seno spinning. Can he finish him off? He just about gets scored by the Sorceress, but it doesn't matter as Lakish will be able to take Quacky down. 1-2 in favor of the blue team, but they do not have health advantage. You see Usano's trying to go really hard. Danzai engages, but unfortunately he engages right as the Frozen Fog is about to take, which means that G Jojo is going to be able actually going to recatch him and get quite a bit of damage at 23k. Meanwhile, Usano getting a 19k krill on LDC himself. Let's see what's Quacky doing here. Trying to finish off Usano. And he catch him though. You can see G Jojo is also really low HP. Danzai's trying to chasing him down, but LDC getting a catch on both Lakish and Usano, which is gonna finish both of them off. Danzai finding himself alone. May just side to the basic attacks here. It seems like he will. Quacky trying to chase it down, but Lakish, gets caught by LDC in stage 3-2. No roll, but he is using the shield to prevent him from taking a lot of damage. Usano gets a double spin, but the Fist of Destruction is going to interrupt his follow-up because of that paralysis. 3-4 in favor of the red team now, but again, health difference is always something to keep in mind. Quacky is kind of alone all the way in the enemy team base of both Lakish and Danzai trying to push him. He's doing a pretty good job at staying alive though. And he catches Danzai once again, but Danzai still has roll. That's all fine. Lakish going for a very big Alimage. Gets Quacky, and Danzai gets Quacky again with no roll. This is gonna be it. Does he have the cooldowns to finish him off? Though he does not. Unfortunately, this may actually be really bad for Danzai. As you can see, he's losing almost 30% HP. Usano comes in just in time to save him, but not before Danzai takes a lot of damage from both G Jojo and LDC. Quacky's trying to come back at 20k crit from Usano. G Jojo Rose goes for the Awakening. He doesn't want to let the blue team gain any momentum, especially as they do have a slight kill advantage here. Usano using that Rukin's Word to buy a little bit of space and get some damage reduction for his team. Danzai, it seems like a death sentence there from Quacky preemptively. Not like it matters as LDC actually finishes off Danzai very cleanly. 20k Alimage coming in from Lakish. Usano and Lakish are completely opposite sides of the map. And Usano is going to pay for that as both LDC and Quacky are going in very, very hard. But Lakish putting in work as he does manage to finish off G Jojo by himself. Quacky uses a reverse death sentence there, predicting that Danzai was going to go in. But unfortunately, that means he doesn't get to finish off Lakish. And Usano is just about in time to peel. Oh, maybe not anymore as G Jojo and LDC working together to finish both of them off. It is now 7-6 in favor of the red team. Can Danzai stay alive in this 1v3 situation? It seems like no, as he will die to the dot, I think, from the tsunami. Quacky a little bit overcommitting there, actually getting hit by the lightning from the Summoner Awakening Calcion. You have to keep in mind, if you get hit by the Summoner Lightning, you are not just taking damage, you are giving Summoner the gauge to use one of their identity skills. And that is something you do not want to do, right? At 16k and an Awakening, Quacky does manage to roll just before the Holy Knight Awakening connects. It is 8-7, but with a Lakish full of gauge probably, and LDC quite alone there at the top. He's trying to run away. Quacky tries to peel, but he just gets hit by the Alimage. Just as I was saying, right? That Summoner Identity gauge is incredibly big. Danzai actually lands the Blood Orb at the very, very tip, and it's going to push LDC. He's barely, barely alive. If he dies, it may not be possible for the red team to make a comeback. So he has to stay alive. G Jojo and Quacky are going to have to play this 2v2 and just pray that they have score. But unfortunately, they do not. Even though it is an 8-8 match, the victory is going to go to the blue team. Usano, Lakish, and Danzai actually putting in quite a bit of work there. It did go to score the game. So I have to make sure that I'm not, like, how do I say, shuffling and, like, tangling all names up together and be able to maintain the same speed that I do constantly. But, we'll get there. We'll get there in time. One team is double DR no matter what. That is true. But I think Battle Master DR is low. And I guess it's... Holy Knight can provide more damage reduction than Soul Master. Or more defensive, you know, damage reduction and buffs than Soul Master can. So I think it should be fine. We're seeing the origins. I hope so. Alright, let's see how this goes. So Vertuslow actually looking to engage. Never mind, as we see no one else actually be very aggressive. An early shield there coming in from Usano to save his team from that early rush that the blue team is pulling off. Usano actually catches Cinnamon Latte, but a 70k crit from Don Ast, making very good use of that crit pod on Graffiti. Gets caught by Vertus though, but he is currently in stealth, it seems. No. There we go. Just breaks out with the... for a second, so did he use Awakening? I didn't see. It was very transparent, but Definitely not. We actually see a very early awakening there coming out from Mr. Wolf, and actually lands in Veritas too, and the convert on Toxic Thing as well. They actually have made a very good use of this opening. The blue team definitely being incredibly aggressive and showing the power of that aggression. You know, Nastin a little bit weird there with his teleport, using the sweeping cross before he teleports. Blue team just regroups and staying together, whereas the red team is waiting for Toxic Thing to come back. It's a very, very strong awakening. We have to keep in mind that I think both Cinnamon Latte and Wolf blew their awakenings that they didn't need, and Reaper did indeed blow his awakening. I was correct. As we see, all members of the blue team use their awakenings. A nice Sword of Justice from Museno, but it does not stop the blue team's endless aggression. You can see Noah Nas is going really hard there on Museno, both Toxic Tank and Veritas Law get caught off the side, and Noah Nas still going in. This man does not know what it means to stop. He just keeps going. Cinnamon Latte, though, playing a little bit patient. Possibly waiting for some engages to occur. He tries to go in on Museno, gets a nice crescent kick, 12k there, misses the thunder kick, but Wolf using the beam there at a very good solid Wolf, zone control. Museno, though, is going to finish off Cinnamon Latte. This is a 2v3 situation, and although Wolf tries to get a bit of damage to Toxic Thing, the damage reduction from Museno is going to prevent that from coming across. The Spikes is going to land on Noanas. He is trying to desperately run away. No row, uses his stealth once again. Veritas going for the Rising Woe and gets a double catch. Good split strike. Nonas is just being very patient. Misses the Crimson Flash, though. And Toxic Tank trying to get a finish off on Nonas, but barely misses it. The Wind God, though, from Cinnamon Latte putting in work. Veritas taking quite a bit of damage. The damage reduction, though, from Wasano there. On the shield now, the Shield of Faith. Just immortal. This man refuses to die. And Cinnamon Latte getting caught alone. It seems like he's just up against the wall on a stage 2 identity there. He loses almost 50% of his HP there. And Wolf, though, coming in clutch with the Windhound Blast, getting a kill on both Toxic Tank and Wasano. With Veritas being very low, and maybe better for him to just die and regroup with his team. But he's actually live loading very well. And Wasano can get a Shield of Faith up in time. It may actually work out pretty well. You can see the identity. Really good. You have to keep in mind that Veritas goes into Cinnamon Latte. Oh my god, the damage. 25k from the Sword of Justice. In addition to the Moonlight Sonic coming in from Veritas. He will die, but not before doing so much work. Noanas getting quite a nice catch on Toxic Thing, but the damage reduction again from the Holy Knight preventing them from going in. It is 5-3 in favor of the blue team. Wolf is quite low, though. Not like it matters if he actually gets a catch into Toxic Thing and still living. Veritas trying to go in to get something here, as is Wasano. He wants to finish off Wolf, and it seems like Toxic Tank will finish him off with the Demonic Spikes. A little bit of damage from Cinnamon Latte on the Wind God. Wasano knocked down, but not rolling. He's holding that. He doesn't want to do anything. Very good spin there on Cinnamon Latte, and a Sword of Justice 16k crit. You have to keep in mind the damage reduction that Battlemaster War Dancer gets from that Inner Key Combustion. And solid 10%, which is actually preventing the damage from the Sword of Justice to be particularly high. A very good finish off, though, by Wolf in the Toxic Tank, and they really want to push as Veritas gets a nice knock-up. He lands the Awakening. It seems like Cinnamon Latte is going to get caught, and just as the Inner Key Discharge expires, unfortunately, Toxic Tank also awakens, but the knockback from Veritas' identity means that Toxic Tank is not going to get anything off of that. Museno doing a very good job of frontlining for his team while preventing Wolf from doing much, but it seems that Wolf just finds a special opening here on Veritas as we go on to 60 seconds of stage 3. This is very, very dangerous. 7-5 to the blue team. But again, awakenings are a very big deal, especially Holy Knight Awakening, which Wasano still does have. Toxic Tank doesn't really take that much damage because of the Ruffin's Wood. Wasano has no roll. Probably getting chased by Reaper. And we see the Inner Key Discharge as well coming in from the Soul Master, reducing damage done to the blue team. But you see, there we go. That's the Awakening that wanted to see. Veritas gets a double catch. He uses Hurricane Rush, but unfortunately, he doesn't actually land it on Wolf. It's barely enough to finish no one asked. It is indeed with Wasano's support. Wolf just barely staying alive. It is 6-7. It is now going to be 7-7, and the double kill is really important. A triple kill. Even if the blue team does manage to get a kill, they may not have enough to convert because of the score difference that will come up with that triple kill. They may need a double kill, but Toxic Tank and Wasano are both very low. Can no one ask Wolf and Cinnamon Latte get a kill? They only have 3 seconds. They need something. They need anything, but they're just separate. They're not focusing on the same target, and that means that the red team is just barely going to take that. Even though they had a very difficult start, going in at 5-3 in favor of the blue team, they do manage to make use of that Holy Knight Awakening and a very solid double catch from Veritas in against like no road enemies, and that was more than enough. You can see it was Wasano as well, putting in a lot of work. Paladin, but definitely a DPS. If only. I definitely need to top up on my water as my voice is getting a bit hoarse. get blown up in double finger bolts. They're gonna do keep on into finger bolts, and then the other one's gonna keep on back into finger bolts. They're just gonna like volleyball each other. They're gonna cross streams. Oh my god, idea. Okay, let's see how this goes. This is gonna be a very curious match. There is no way for me to balance this appropriately simply because of the triple classes here. Unless somebody wanted me to put also masters in one team, which I dare not do. They're gonna be saying so. Benixo going in already. It seems opening up with a perfect shot, but canceling that. You have to keep in mind there's a 3-second cooldown when he does that. Lands a nice focus shot on Sandy, and actually, oh my god, what a very intense brawl. This is the LAO brawl, and a brawl it is indeed, as all teams are kind of engaging at once. So Sandy kind of wasting his third strength impact, his enhanced here a little bit. Benixo actually lost so much health, I didn't even manage to spot how. Meanwhile, Frostov getting bursted really hard by Cancer Burst, tries to get peeled off by Sandy. Meanwhile, LDC is actually all the way alone in the enemy base, goes for an early awakening, but awakens towards the wall, but it still works out as he lands on Shakpu, forces a roll and a lot of damage. Shakpu himself doing a kind of awakening, which in turn will land on his Sandy, as will Cancer Burst's identity. The Sandy's very low. He's going to get finished off by the finger bullets, as will Benixo. There's a 2v2 now. The health advantage is in favor of the blue team, but anything can happen. Very good blitz rush there by Cancer Burst, actually finding his way in LDC, and Cancer Burst's space almost gets burst into LDC, but he will get interrupted by the demonic demon ray. LDC and Frostov both really low. This is going to be the second kill for the blue team, as Frostov is almost dead. But he manages to just about avoid Cancer Burst. Shakpu as well, just barely living, gets engaged in LDC, but the peel from his Sandy is going to be enough to support. And Frostov does die a double kill to Cancer Burst, which is going to matter for score, but he does manage to get a full heat palm on, which is definitely going to matter too, as that is going to do a lot. Oh my god! His Sandy just gets destroyed in that 2v1 situation, right? If you get left alone in these kinds of comps and these kinds of matches, you are going to get blown up. Benixo getting busted quite hard. All the red team is finally respawned now. Cancer Burst and Benixo are quite low, which is going to matter because if one of them dies, they can force a 2v3. Very good. Rising well in there, but there is a very good key palm from Frostov there. LDC going in for the engage, getting a bit of a palm. Oh, great knockback from Isandi on Shakpu, preventing him from getting the Windhowl Blast stun, which has been monumental for him to get a comeback. It is a 4-3 in favor of the blue team, but with Benixo being so low, anything can happen. We see an awakening from Frostov, and it lands on both Cancer Burst and Benixo. This is incredible. These Soul Master Awakenings are definitely putting in work. We have seen every single Soul Master awaken. It is not only the non-Soul Master that have their awakenings. Frostov getting quite a bit of damage in Cancer Burst there, which just barely gets finished off by Sandy's Demon Ray. It is a 3v1 now. Benixo's alone, but he does not stop going in. Definitely trying to maybe scare them a little bit. You know, the greatest defense is a good offense, but he does pay with 50% of his life off of a single Windhowl Blast. That is the harm of having to face a double Soul Master comp. Oh, it seems like LDC gets just about clipped, but the key palm from Frostov is going to prevent Cancer Burst from going in. Benixo trying to find engage. Sandy gets a very good stun on Cancer Burst and an enhanced too, but he gets caught by Cancer Burst in turn. Rolls out. Frostov getting caught by Cancer Burst as well. Cancer Burst is just being a real frontline for his team and giving Benixo the opportunity to finish him off with the Great Disaster. LDC, can he finish off Benixo? He can indeed. Both Frostov and Benixo are dead. What is this 2v2 situation going to be like? Cancer Burst doesn't really have the cooldowns to finish off LDC though. Uses Moonlight Sonic as Hurricane Rush, but it isn't quite enough. But with his support from Shakpu, it is going to go. It is going to get a kill for the blue team. You have to keep in mind though that the blue team at 6-7 here is at a disadvantage. Sandy is quite low on HP. If they do manage to kill Insandy, they can force a 2v3, but a double awakening from Insandy, landing in both Benixo and Cancer Burst. While Cancer Burst does manage to roll out, that is definitely going to be a lot of gauge for Sandy. Meanwhile, LDC just getting bursted 2v1 there by both Cancer Burst and Shakpu. And this may be it. We see an awakening. It is a single awakening only though. Even though Cancer Burst tried to hit Frostov with that, it was not enough. And that double catch is massive. A 27k crit into the Blade Dot. Oh my god. The blue team is definitely making the comeback that they needed. Though the HP advantage is still within the red team's field, as Cancer Burst is really low and a huge burst. This under 40-second period is so explosive. Sandy does manage to finish off Cancer Burst, which means that the red team does have advantage to Frost Orb in the fire, just trying to stay alive. But Shaku perhaps overcommitting a little bit and will die to LDC. But Nixo still living. We have to keep in mind they still have some awakenings left. I believe Nixo still has his own awakening. But it will not matter as he does get taken down by Sandy. Cancer Burst as well gets caught there. It seems like the blue team, in their effort to get those final few kills, to get that one additional kill that they needed, ended up overcommitting a little bit too much. Oh, never mind. They double crits. You see, but Nixo putting in his awakening to good use. But with the score now being 12-9, the overcommitment that the blue team did trying to push for that final kill means that they will unfortunately not be able to win this game, even with a double crit 50k awakening. You can see these games are decided in the blink of an eye. It's all about that under 60-second period. That was a surprisingly close game. Although the score may not look like it, as they did end up going to 12 kills. A very general open event like this. This will be our little farewell to the Russian server. Let's see who is going to win this. And for Weeaboo asking for Sorc stats, you can just type !! Sorceress and you're going to get my stats and my build too. Alright, let's begin. So we're going to have Arcana, which is one of the classes that is not going to be present in the NAE release. One of the classes that I used to main, in fact, one of my favorite classes in this game, well, a Scouter and Artillerist. So this is a very, I would say range comp, but honestly both Arcana being a hybrid class and Blaster being very much a mid-range class means that things can actually work out pretty well. You can see Big Thicky Gunman, they actually try to get the stun on Bubble Fever, but the hard to see immunity from Indomitable Performance prevented him from doing that. PvP Meepy actually getting quite a lot of damage. You can see that this exchange has definitely gone very squarely to the blue team side. Gijo Jonas getting quite a bit of, getting the catch in the Defectrix, but the Bard support there, the Rhapsody of Light is a over 70% damage reduction with a shield applied to that refreshes. It is incredibly difficult to kill anybody while Rhapsody of Light is up. However, Bubble Fever got caught by the Artillerist combo. And oh, he just about manages to roll out of the airstrike, which have probably, if it had crit, could almost have killed him. You can see a really good conversion from both Big Thicky Gunman and GJ Jonas using that Dark Resurrection to combo off of the flamethrower and the Gatling. And the fact result is going to finish off Jojo, where CTV Meatbeat is getting comboed by Big Thicky Gunman, but manages to just about escape and goes into form. This is very dangerous, as all it takes is one catch, as you can see there, and Yanji has lost half of his health. You have to keep in mind that you cannot stagger, you cannot hit stun, you can't paralyze the Demon Form, and Interfectress with a very clean snipe there with the Blitz Rush. Jojo, as you see, oh, Meatbeat overcommitting a little. He actually had the perfect opportunity to go in the Arcana, but he either waited a little bit too long or went a little bit too early, as he actually got caught by the knockup on the Unlimited Shuffle. Good catch there by Yamj, just as Interfectrix loses the Cloak of Blades. This game is going very much in favor of the blue team. Perhaps my fault of the support balancing. Joe Jonas taking quite a bit of damage using the Dark Resurrection defensively, but doesn't land into anybody. Interfectrix Zone may die here to the basic attacks. Almost. Just about living. Meanwhile, Big Thicky Gunman again, so much damage coming out at 37k crit. Don't count the red team out just yet. And Yanje has gone into form. His form will break if his shield does, but it seems like the Bard shield is going to break beforehand. A double stomp from the Bard and a Soundholic, but the shield just about holds, which means that he can still get a little bit of use out of form before Bubble Fever can run away. Jonas is quite low, but it is 3-3, and Bubble Fever, although he still has 50% HP, you have to keep in mind that Arcana is a very slippery class. You can see he's actually 2v1ing there up at the top, but he is going to get finished by G Fever with the stun. We'll see how they're going to be engaging here. Oh, TTV Meatbeat gets a very nice hard to see, but not quick enough for Big Thicky Gunman to get knocked down. He's just going into the Terraform, trying to buy a little bit of time for Joe Jonas to come back. Scouter engages, but unfortunately does not get the Rocket Raid or the hard to see. Meanwhile, Interfectrix just getting comboed there at the side by Joe Jonas and Big Thicky Gunman, but the Bard coming in just in time with the Rhapsody of Light, preventing the damage from landing. Interfectrix gets another kill on Big Thicky Gunman, and it seems like Joe Jonas may be next, but it seems like they don't really have all that many cooldowns to combo now. Joe Jonas and Yanjay using the mobility of their classes to stay alive. Almost landing. Yanjay almost lands the Kamikaze drones. Not like it matters though, as he does manage to, it's hard to see Bubble Fever, and Joe Jonas is gonna Dark Resurrection that, not going to give up on the opportunity. Big Dicky Gunman, a lot of HP. His shield just expires though, and TTV Meepy gets a cheeky little thrust impact there on Joe Jonas. Trying to run away. Yanjay just using a basic attack because Scout actually gets an attack speed. A double awakening from Interfectrix into a double identity. And although the Scouter Yanjay did try to use his own awakening to peel, there was a little bit too late. And that may be the moment that wins the blue team the game. A double kill into Joe Jonas and Big Dicky Gunman. That was so much damage. Yanjay is now left alone with TTV Meepy all the way at the enemy base. And he is going to get finished off. We see the Blaster Awakening coming out now. But is it going to be enough? The Bard Awakening now to counter the Blaster Awakening. That shield is going to be very heavy, and even though Joe Jonas is getting a lot of damage on TTV Meepy, you can see that it just gets all absorbed by the Bard shield. 21k from Interfectrix. TTV Meepy almost dying though. It seems like the Bard shield was not enough to stop the sheer amount of damage that they were pumping out. But with a 4-kill lead, it is going to be very difficult for the red team to win this. They do manage to kill TTV Meepy. Bubble Fever is going to be following shortly after. It is a double kill, and now let's see who is next. They're actually going in very hard on Interfectrix. Can they finish him off? They can at 7-8, but they need another kill. They actually still have the Arcana Awakening, but is this still going to work out? They have to make something happen. And with Joe Jonas, he's using the Awakening, but just barely. It seems like he's just about living, but he has to run away. It seems like he unfortunately cannot, as the Rhapsody of Light, the defensive skill, will just about clip him and do enough damage to finish it off. This match is going to go to the blue team. MVP, as the game puts him forwards there, agreeing with me, is definitely Interfectrix with an amazing double awakening into double identity. Not like TTV Meepy didn't put in a lot of work with the sheer amount of damage that he was pumping out. Very solid match. Agility, the game has become very melee favored, so melee classes have definitely been on the uptake. So who knows, this may be the kind of games you expect to see in ranked queue as we go into E1A. 6 Zerka games, we had that the other day. Damon Lolly. Oh my god, that was the... I think you're around for 2. The good old 6 custom. Alright. Let's begin. How will this go? Striker, Battlemaster, Warlord versus Berserker, Shadowhunter, and Holy Knight. So support on each team. And very aggressive match is what I feel is going to be. Maru's going forward, trying to get a little bit of a front line. We see an early engage there from Casual Kyo, actually putting in quite a bit of damage there with his catches. But we see also an early and the last here from Maru's, who's running a knockback on his counter spear actually. An early awakening from Cinnamon Latte, actually doing quite a bit of damage on Drace's back. Oh well, quite a bit I say. It is a Holy Knight. Grav Aldrin actually taking quite a bit of damage himself from Casual Kyo, who finds another catch into Danzai, but we see the Guardian Agent come off from the Holy Knight, which is going to reduce some damage that they take by over 40%. Good combo there by Grav Aldrin, but Casual Kyo doesn't actually take all that much damage because of his good old friendly support. Casual Kyo trying to get an engage, being patient. Actually, just as he's going to go into the second bit of the third hit rather of his kicks, he actually gets interrupted there by Danzai and gets punished really heavily for it. You can see the red team is sticking together closely very well and playing off of each other. However, it seems like, very aggressive Casual Kyo. Again, does get caught though. As soon as he separates from his team, it's not like the blue team's just going to sit there letting him do that. Lade just about gets caught by Danzai. Danzai trying to self-peel out the spikes, but no need, as the Holy Knight actually saves him. It seems like, unfortunately, that misuse of spikes is going to cost him the cost him his life. Not his match quite yet. So too early to tell. Norris tries to get the hope, but gets interrupted. He doesn't take any damage because of the Nalasia. Toffee Lade can go in with the Wind God relatively safely. Let's see. Raises back, gets caught by the Striker, but perfect peel from Danzai. And will that be a finish? Grav Aldrin managed to finish Cinnamon Latte too, which means that Maruz is now alone. This is a great time to push. Oh no, Dry seems like he cancelled out of his Ruffians. If he had held that, it would have been exactly what the team needed to push Maruz. But he actually manages to get away with that 3v2 relatively healthy. We'll see what's going on here. Danzai getting a nice knock on Casual Q, but he's not rolling, he's just holding it. Dry is also as well, just backing up. A great hit from Aldrin, but he misses the red dust. Perhaps trying to be a bit greedy, trying to get 2 people. The hitbox is very thin on that. Dry is just live loading of his shield, but meanwhile, Grav Aldrin is just going to be finished off by Toffee Laddie's Wind God. Dry's may come to follow soon after, but he does manage to get a cheeky little Guardian Angel to protect the Danzai from too much damage while he's left in that 1v3 situation. Simalade going in again with the Wind God, gets a double catch. Oh my god, this this double fighter extravaganza is what I would say. Is definitely putting in quite a lot of work. Dre's tries to peel there. Unfortunately, it isn't quite fast enough. He was a little bit too far away to land a Hand of Heaven. Cinnamon Latte and Casual Kyo just bouncing Dries back and forth. Here comes a Wind God once again. It's just really difficult for the blue team to get their pace. Actually had an okay start, but they're starting to just get pushed back slowly but surely. They have to regain some degree of momentum if they want to be able to take this. Oh, very good catch by Grab Aldrin. He gets a lot of damage on Casual Kyo as well, with some support from his Holy Knight. 13k crit there as well at the end of the Tempest Slash. It seems like Cinnamon Latte is going in himself with a double triple. It is a triple Wind God, and it seems like Maruz is not going to let that go unrewarded as he gets a solid spear shot into Grab Alderan and manages to finish him off. It is 5-2, but 2 members of the red team are really, really low. It seems like Danzai is overcommitting a little bit, and he walks right back into the Wind God, which will spell his doom as Dries and Alderan try to push the advantage now. Let's see, Cinnamon Latte is now alone, getting chased down by the Holy Knight and the Berserker, but he does have the mobility to stay alive. And with 6-4 and Dries being relatively low, there's definitely going to be an upward hill, I should say, for the blue match to climb. Oh, great double stun there from Alderan, but he gets hooked by the Warlord and a full charge. This is the burst cannon with like the full damage increase, by the way. 18k crit from the spear shot as well. They told me Warlord was a support, but evidently it is a DPS. Dries getting a nice double catch into the Sword of Justice. However, it does not crit, and the fact that it did not crit is definitely going to hurt. Warlord does the second awakening, but it doesn't actually land because of the Wind God knocking them all up. Danzai may die here, but Cinnamon Latte is so low. Unfortunately, they don't manage to finish it on Grab Alderan, and will follow him soon after, with Cinnamon Latte getting a double kill. You have to keep in mind that Danzai and Dries both still have their awakening. We actually see the awakening here coming in from Dries with only 16 seconds left, perhaps coming in a little bit too late. Oh, they are getting quite a few kills, but with the scoreboard being 9-5, this is pretty much a done game. And then Elastic coming in from the Warlord. It's going to be practically impossible to go Cinnamon Latte in these final 4 seconds, as the damage reduction and the double Wind God too, with Cinnamon Latte getting one final catch on Dries. It's not like Danzai is going to go without taking the moral victory at the very least by finishing off Cinnamon Latte at the very, very end. But this game is going to go to the red team. Cinnamon Latte, 700k damage. Jesus Christ. Wind Gods and a God player too. You can see just how much work Battlemaster was putting in that match, just with these double, triple Wind God catches. And let's see how this goes. So we're going to have Blade Soulmaster, which in itself, like Blade Soulmaster and Devil Hunter, Shadow Hunter. This is actually the comp that won the Archives Arena beta tournament. So we know that this comp is a very, very strong tournament viable competitive comp. On the other side, we actually have a Demonic, Gunslinger, and Striker, and this is going to be a bit of a more hybrid game, as we have, you know, both Shadow Hunter and Demonic and Gunslinger, which are a little bit more hybrid classes with a good range emphasis, and we're gonna have Not Selka as their sole melee. But with the level of rushdown that these 3 classes can give, even this tournament winning comp may be in danger. So see how they open up. So Eurizia already opening up with that perfect shot. Doesn't land, but he does get a really nice catch and just the tip of the focus shot, which is really, really useful. Not Selka going in, trying to push, chase down Frosthope, but he gets punished as he overcommits a little bit too hard. PTV Meepy getting his own damage out there on Cancer Burst. Unfortunately, the damage reduction, like I was saying, right, from the Soul Master, that Inner Key Discharge, is just preventing the red team from taking out that much damage, which means they are going to be winning this trade. PTV Meepy trying to go in, just about good defensive bow, I would say, there from the red team, not letting them go in. Oh, unfortunately, Not Selka doesn't quite get the knockdown. That means he's actually going to take quite a lot of damage. And Meepete just about getting knocked up out of his hard CC. Great peel from Not Selka, which is going to prevent the Blade Dot from fully connecting. And it seems like Cancer Burst now is the one that's overcommitting. And Eurizia finishes off Toxic Thing as he actually goes into peel, but ends up just killing himself instead, going straight into the Last Supper. Not like Cancer Burst is going to let that go unpunished, though, as he gets his own finish in Not Selka with his identity. PTV Meepete taking quite a bit of damage there. Manages to roll out. Frostsolve, though, with the key arm, doing so much damage, even though he was not in any gates. PTV Meepete going in there to try and convert off of Toxic Thing. And not Selka as well, doing a very good combo there. Great, a perfect shot from Eurizia. Gonna get a bit of a convert. Eurizia as well, just barely trying to stay alive, but it seems like he may be finished off here. Actually walks into the Windhowl Blast, but it's not enough for him to die. And then Awakening into Frostwolf, which just about misses Toxic Tank. Although he does try to awaken to buy a little bit of space, it doesn't land on anybody. Cancer Burst pushing in Not Selka. TTV, Meepy, Not Selka, and Eurizia all working very closely here as a team. This game is very, very back and forth. Not Selka almost getting a kill on Frostwolf, but a great PO from Cancer Burst. Unfortunately, just about out of range. And both Eurizia and Frostwolf will die here as we get left in a 2v2. Toxic Tank getting a double kill though, and it seems like Not Selka has no role, and being left alone against these Shu is not the ideal situation. Let's see, Not Selka doing an okay job of staying alive. Very much using all his skills to juke, but he will get caught eventually, and it seems like he's gonna get finished off. Oh, never mind. It seems the Cancer Burst goes straight for a double awakening, getting a lot of value out of it. Not Selka still alive though, not getting finished off. He will get sniped there by Frostwolf's Windhowl Blast and will be finished off. It is again a 2v2 as Cancer Burst and Not Selka both die. Eurizia gets a nice catch into Toxic Tank. Great damage there with the last up, but it is not enough to finish him off. The Energy Discharge coming in at just the right time to prevent him from dying, but the Deathfire will be enough. Cancer Burst now getting a double catch and actually getting a lot of damage off of that Hurricane. Oh. Frostwolf going into his stage 3. This is very dangerous. The blue team gets hit once and they're gonna get bursted down. PvP just barely avoiding the keep arm. Good interrupt there. And going into form. Very low HP though. This may not be good for him as he gets killed right after going into form at the same time as Eurizia. Not Selka once again left alone. It seems like Not Selka's getting left in these 1v2 situations, or 1v3 situations actually, as both his teams end up getting killed at similar times. Oh, we see TTV Meepy get his own awakening and so much value out of it as Toxic Tank loses over 70% of his HP. He is informed though and may be able to finish Not Selka. I stand corrected as he gets peeled off very cleanly by TTV Meepy's Demon Ray. Blue team pushing very hard here. Frostwolf does have the Energy Discharge, so not going to be losing too much health. I stand corrected once again as the buff just expires. They're taking their time, waiting for Toxic Tank to come back before they push. Keep in mind that it's still the red team's advantage, 6-5, and they have a quite solid health lead. Not Selka will get finished off now, 7-5. Will TTV Meepy push? He is actually pushing to get over Eurizia. Indeed, the best defense is a good offense. TTV Meepy does get caught though. Not taking too much damage. I think it was only a stage 2 there. Oh, never mind. We're actually going to the under 60-second periods. Anything is going to hurt really, really hard there. Eurizia actually cancelled his perfect shot. He could have gotten a double, but it seems like it still works out anyways. Toxic Tank going in really hard. Just manages to barely avoid Eurizia's, what do I say? Great disaster, actually. Oh my god, TTV Meepy getting burst by level 3 Frostwolf, but Not Selka coming in just in time. Frostwolf and Cancer Burst both getting Not Selka. It seems like Not Selka is always trying to frontline for his team of, you know, hybrid range classes, but it's being very difficult to do so against this kind of comp, this tournament winning comp. He really gets a double catch, but unfortunately doesn't really have the cooldowns to convert on both of them, and will actually pay the price of a 32k crit with only 15 seconds left and a double catch by the red team. It seems like this is gonna be it for the blue team, sadly. Oh, and a triple crit on the Demon Ray too by TTV Meepy, but with 11-7, even if they do manage to get a kill on Cancer Burst, TTV Meepy will gonna fall down here as well. So this was a very tight game at the beginning, but then we saw the red team just slowly managing to push their advantage there. The double awakening from Cancer Burst as well, doing so much work in forcing these. It's all about that 1v3, that 1v2 situation, right? You end up getting caught alone when you don't have your team. Could be in solo queue. But yeah, thanks for tagging along, Selka. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming, thanks for attending, and thanks for like watching and interacting and stuff. It's I like doing this stuff, so thank you guys for making it possible too. But yeah, let's actually go with this match. So the double fighter, or the triple fighter, should I say, except that we have, you know, striker and battle master here. So the triple fighter comp versus the balance comp. Which one do you think will take this victory? Oh my god. Oh, hold up. Weeb music. Let me skip it. Let's actually go over. If I go back here, Yeah, let's go with this. All right, so let's see. What did I miss? I actually see an early Inaki discharge there coming in from the Soul Master. Actually putting in a lot of work as Wolf took quite a bit of damage himself. Casual Kill just tries to barely get out, but seems like he got rubber banded back, and the Berserker getting so much damage with that execution, that finishing strike. Benixo getting a good catch on Wolf, but although Casual Kill did try to peel, he had the hard to see resistance, which means that that Phoenix dive did not work too well. The perfect shot doesn't quite reach the same range as the Soul Master Destruction Wave there. Battlemanian actually very lucky there with the explosion on his inner key combustion, which actually did quite a bit of damage and saved him, but he's not going to be so lucky again as Benixo getting a lot of damage back. Seems like every single person's fighting their own separate 1v1, and it seems to be going in favor of the blue team as they all seem to be winning. You have to keep in mind that all these members are very low on HP, and Sandy will be the first blood here. Beniko, though, may take Battlemanian down, and it seems like they may trade. He just about lives, but for how long is the question. He's still living. There we go. Benixo finally finishes him off and gets a very nice perfect shot on Wolf. Can he recatch him? He can indeed. Grab Aldrin alone, but it seems like Sandy comes in just in time to support. And Benixo, grab Aldrin, and Sandy are going to be able to take this triple here with 3-1 in their favor. With Benixo dead, again, that's what I'm saying. Grab Aldrin is really low. If they manage to kill Grab Aldrin, they will be able to force a 3v1 on Sandy, which is not what you want to happen. That's what we saw happen with Notselka last game, right? And that means that Sandy may die. Casual Kill actually gets the kill here. Benixo countering him a little bit, but Sandy very far away and actually in a good position to run away from the enemy to survive this 3v2 situation. Battlemanian gets hit by the enhance there from the Monarch, thrust impact. Oh, we see the Wind God, but it seems like the grenades from the Deathfire come out just a little bit too fast, and it will be enough to save him. Wolf getting a lot of damage taken from the Berserker and Berserk form. When he goes into that Fury mode, he has a lot increased attack speed, 30% increased attack speed, and 30% increased crit rates and 20% increased attack speed, which means that he is very fast and hits very hard. As you see, the 25k crit on Casual Kill. The red team is definitely establishing themselves very solidly here. Battlemanian actually getting quite a good convert there on Grab Aldrin, but the peel from his Sandy comes in just in time. This is going very heavily in favor of the red team now. The blue team needs to re-establish themselves. They're letting themselves get snowballed, and this is the one thing you do not want to let happen. Although you saw previously, right, the blue teams, they were all winning their separate 1v1s, but then when it comes to like being able to play in sync here, perhaps a more balanced nature of the red team means that they have an easier time doing that. Sandy just about rolls in at the very end of the Awakening, but he gets his own Awakening and a double catch into a Blood Orb. The Berserker as well, going to his own Awakening. He doesn't quite land it, but it doesn't matter as they're setting in such a solid lead. Battlemanian taking so much damage here from that focus shot, and although he's doing his best to stay alive and run away, the Gunslinger will not let him do that. And it's here the difficulty you can see at establishing yourself. Even though they're playing a very triple fighter, a very good aggressive team, you can see that they actually not being able to be that aggressive at all. Because while they do have an incredible level of aggression and they have the ability to get many knockdowns, they just don't have the defensive wall that they need, the area control that they need to be able to stop the red team from just walking at them. As you can see, Benixo do with his gun dance into the catch, into the frost grenade, and some burst damage too. Sandy with a double catch, almost finishing off Wolf, but he's just barely managing to live. Sandy will kick the bucket, as will Benixo. But with a 2-kill lead and both Casual Kill and Wolf being relatively low, can they make this back? You have to keep in mind though, they still have 2 Awakenings. Both Casual Kill and Battlemanian still have their Awakenings, I believe. And Benixo is the only one from the red team that has his own. But with this catch on Casual Kill, while Grab Aldrin doing a good burst damage on Battlemanian, who now has no roll, Wolf is going to die, and Battlemanian now finds himself alone again, and like that 1v3 situation we were talking about earlier, right? You see, he went from 70% to, well, dead, simply because he got caught without rolling 1v3 and there was nobody to peel. Good Awakening there from Benixo, just trying to get a little bit of additional damage, but 11-6, really, this is going to be really difficult. It may not even be possible to make a comeback simply because the respawn timer. You do have to keep in mind that when you're under that 60-second period when the burst buff is active, your respawn timer is half. Usually it takes about 6 seconds for you to respawn, but it's only 3 seconds once you have that burst buff active. But even with that respawn difference, it may not be enough. Battlemanian getting a double Awakening into a crit. The Awakening is incredibly 22k crit on the Crescent Kick too. Although it may not be possible for the blue team to take this back, they're definitely getting the moral victory of these final second bursts. If they perhaps had a little bit more time, and Sandy as well, 9-11 now in favor of the red team. and a lot of damage coming on the Wolf. Now the blue team is going to be pushing the red team in that 1v3 situation, but unfortunately it took them just a little bit too much time to start making that pack, and that win is going to go to the red team. He needs to win. If he loses, I make tier list YouTube video and put World at E. Want he one to lose so that he gets his class to be downplayed though. Delphi, please. Alright, so let's see how this goes. So we have a support on each team. We have the more frontline focus support on the right team here with, you know, Hawkeye, or should I say Sharpshooter, a class that unfortunately has not been having too good of a time, especially with the latest Korean patch, and Demonic, and we're having them against Holy Knight and Scout and Demonic. This is a very strong team, but they do lack a front line, which means that it may be good enough for the blue team to push their advantage there. We can see an early snipe come in there from Lost Ark Yusun. It does not quite land, just about spacing out of that Mr. Damas. Okay, Danzai trying to get a bit of damage here. He does get pushed very heavily though, but that's just fine because we see the whole the Warlord, rather, Gun Lancers and Lassia protect him and Lost Ark Yusun as well from the awakening of the Demonic. Lost Ark Yusun still losing quite a lot of damage. Buden trying to do his best at front line, but having a little bit of difficulty here in the 2v1, and the double particle wave cannon from Yanjay. Putting a lot of work. Great bash there from Buden. He's going into the burst cannon and lands it into both Mustradamus and Yanjay. However, Danzai Dono just getting caught there alone, while Buden and Lost Ark Yusun are trying to do their best to stay alive. It seems like that's what everybody's trying to do, just stay alive against this oncoming aggression that is the red team. Great awakening from Buden. Lost Ark Yusun just barely living, and it seems like they may be able to make it with that awakening. As I don't know, try Buden, and it doesn't even care about his awakening, just going in hard. Good spikes there from Danzai. Oh, Lost Ark Yusun tries to snipe, thinking that Blood did not have roll, but he did. Still alive though. I know that in the last set, it seems like he's still gonna stay alive for a while longer. Buden with the... Oh, it was not quite the burst cannon, I thought. But he was charging that burst cannon. If he could have gotten a double, that being massive. But it seems like it's just so difficult here for the blue team to establish themselves. He tries to hook there the Holy Knight, but the paralysis immunity is not going to let him do it. Bloodways though getting hit quite heavily there by the blue team. Hawkeye charging shot. The blue team has to get something. Lost Ark Yusun with the snipe, barely missing on Blood. If that had connected, it would probably have been a kill. You can see just these split second moments, these slight differences in range that really make the difference. Danzai trying to frontline a bit. Buden may finally die. Never mind. Great peel from Lost Ark EU. Still live lording. Going with another Nalassia. What a live lord. It seems how many people have died. Like Buden has not died a single time actually. Going with the burst cannon just as the Guardian Angel expires together with a source from the Demonic. There's more than enough to finish them off. Yanjay now in Scouter form though. We can see the charge from the snipe, but does not connect. Buden and Danzai though are quite low, so it is Choo-Choo, but this is still very much blue team advantage. We see an early awakening there from the Holy Knight. Buden still living. He refuses to die, but he will finally die. And Lost Ark Yusun is getting close along. No awakening? He gets a triple claymore, but actually chooses to save his awakening. That's because, you know, the Holy Knight did have his own awakening, possibly saving that to not waste it into the shield. It did mean he did manage to stay alive, so that's just fine. Good catch from the... There is the actual awakening, and they managed to... What was that? I saw the Yanjay's awakening, but it seems like he died before the awakening can come off, which is exactly what Lost Ark Yusun please needed there with his own awakening. That was very, very solid. Mr. Damas gets a very nice knockup, but Buden gets a catch on Blodu. Not enough cooldowns though to convert. Danzai now gets... well, Danzai by... Lost Ark Yusun rather gets killed off. Danzai is left alone. Buden gets almost a double burst cannon, but Mustradamus is going to get the interrupt of the Hand of Heaven. 5-3 at the blue team. Had a such good comeback moment, but this is very difficult now. Oh, it's there we go. I think that is the first snipe that we have seen connect, and unfortunately it does not crit. Lost Ark Yusun gets caught, but not too much damage being taken. Does have roll. Oh, a little bit of a bug there of Buden. Oh, it seems like Buden decedes. Oh no! Buden not like this. Buden seems to have deceived. His game crashed. This is we see the bug as he goes up. It seems like unfortunate. Very unfortunate Buden, but it seems like this may go to a 2v2 possibly, as we see Yanjay actually stand there at the top and allow the team to go for the 2v2. So we see Lost Ark Yusun, a very honorable man, allowing the Chu here and a little customs actually goes into the fire there. So Blood and Moose versus Lost Ark EU and Danzai. How is this going to work out? Lost Ark gets scored just by the spikes, rolls back. He has his identity though. Oh, is he gonna use it? Oh, he just about gets the Claymore all the way. Danzai going in with the Demon form, getting a double catch there, and there is the second use of identity from Lost Ark EU. Lost Ark EU and Danzai, definitely a dream team here. Buden may have fallen, but the team is still strong. Let's see whether or not Bloodwise and Nostradamus can hold this 1-kill lead that they have. Good catch in Bloodwise. Unfortunately, the Claymore does not land, and Lost Ark EU getting very much bursted there by both the... Oh my god, a 30k crit from Nostradamus. It seems like only 15 seconds left. That is going to be it with a 2-kill deficit. Possibly 3 now as Bloodways goes into his own demon form and manages to get another catch in Lost Ark EU soon. Well, Lost Ark. Yes. Lost Ark EU soon, please. It is unfortunate that we did have a disconnect in our final game, but very good of Yanjay to actually allow the 3v3 to happen. Huge sportsmanship, huge props for him to allow that to happen. And a very good matches all around. This is the end.